Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome into the Pre-Patch Podcast. We are live for
What
episode
is going on, everybody?
82. Let's go, boys.
Let's go.
And we are live on both streams, both Twitch and YouTube, going through one resource instead of having to go through fucking some janky ass website that, lags
Yeah,
every
with
2
your
fucking
money.
seconds. Yeah.
Yeah.
We
Dude,
do
It's actually phenomenal. I'm pretty impressed.
It is. And it's actually pretty easy. Like we're sticking pretty 60 at 60 FPS on both, so I'm pretty happy
We're
about that.
talking pretty. We're talking pretty big right now.
We are
let's just-
talking pretty big. Let's just
calm down.
let's just relax a little
We
bit.
got 2 hours for shit to go wrong.
Right. Right.
So welcome
One
on in,
step at a
everybody.
time.
This is the Pre-Patch Podcast. We are your hosts. We are down one, unfortunately, as we said on Twitch and Twitter. We are on Twitter and in our Discord a couple of different times. Unfortunately, Sin is still not feeling amazing right now, so we are currently kind of holding down the fort a little bit,
Yep.
and he's chilling in the sidelines. You can see from his wonderful image, we got an ice pack on his head and a thermometer. We're monitoring him the entire time, live for your viewing pleasure. So,
By the
Uh,
way,
yeah.
we have retired the sick puppy because
Oh,
we are pretty sure
dude.
that it's a
We had
cursed
to.
image.
sick.
An
It was hella
actual
cursed.
cursed image, a creepy pasta, if you will.
It would. It made its full rotation
It did,
around
man.
through all of us.
It did. It about made it twice too. If I would have put it in, it would have been right on the same one. Other than I don't think, has it actually been through Sin? I don't think it has.
No, we
Sin
cut
would have been the
ours
full
off before
rotation.
It could be complete.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Sin
It's
would have
like
been
the
the full
devil.
rotation.
If-
Yep.
Yeah.
If it would have went through all 4 spots, the apocalypse.
So yeah, welcome on in, everybody. This is the Pre-Patch Podcast. It is episode 82, all about Xbox. We got a huge jam-packed show for you guys, full of, well, I would love to say that we have a plethora of topics to talk about, but pretty much it's all about Xbox. It's the title says it all. We have a lot to talk about with Phil Spencer. We got a lot to talk about with Xbox and Microsoft. It's gonna be a spice a bit. I'm not sure. Bill, you tell me, is it going to be a spicy episode tonight?
We'll determine that whenever we get to the conversation.
When we get there.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, we won't mess around with you guys too much. I know we're pretty good about derailing at the start of the podcast. So we'll get right into it. We do have some Twitch and YouTube news. I didn't find any for Kick other than, I guess, with Kai Cenat. I guess we could talk about that later on after we fill in all that stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
That's right.
but let's just go ahead and swap over to that. So as you can see, Twitch has banned Amaranth, which is that's crazy.
It's never happened before, has it?
No,
I don't
it's
know.
happened a
This is
lot.
our
No,
first
it's
time
happened 6
happened-
times.
It's
No.
happened.
First
This
time
is its sixth
ban?
time. No.
No,
There's
this
been 5
is
others.
yeah, this is her 6th ban.
Yeah.
Apparently she was banned. Nobody knows why. I'm pretty sure I could tell you why, but you know,
I don't think
it
there's
is what it
much
is.
to
Which-
be left.
honestly, this surprises me too, because like I get it. Like we talked about this on the last podcast, right, where we were kind of commenting about their ban last time, which was Kai Cenat. I think I'm saying that correctly. Am I? Please.
Yeah, I think you are.
Okay.
I don't think so. Either way, it's okay.
I thought it was Kai.
It's not Kai Sen.
It's not Kai
but-
Sen.
It's Kai Cenat.
Cenat?
Maybe it is
Cenat?
Cenat.
I don't know.
don't know.
Who fucking knows?
I
Kai.
don't remember.
We'll go with Kai. It doesn't really matter. He's probably going to be off fucking Twitch here in another couple weeks anyways, but we'll get into
Yeah.
that later. So it's we talked about this a little bit last week. I think you guys talked about it. I don't think I was here on the last podcast. No, I was. It was Bill that wasn't. So we talked
Yeah,
about this
yeah.
last week.
We can't
I
even remember.
I can't
anymore.
remember, man. Yeah, it's been 4 episodes pretty much, but yeah, we talked about it last week a little bit. We were kind of made a little bit of a comment that maybe Twitch is kind of trying to clean house a little bit, you know.
Yeah.
And I gotta admit, man, like some of the bans that they've had over the recent weeks, I agree in some way, shape, and form. You know, like I'm wondering if that's like their end goal is to like
They're just trying to goad people into like not like directly outright perma banning them and like
Yeah.
forcing their hand, but
Yeah.
like hinting like, hey, maybe you should look for employment elsewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, and that's the biggest thing.
These bands haven't all seemed like, complete D20s like they've
Yeah.
been in the past, like they've
Yeah,
actually
they've
had
all
some meaning
justified.
behind them. Yeah.
Well, last week's I don't think we ever found out what happened with Kai last week, did we? I don't think it ever came out
I
that
don't
he
know.
actually
I don't know if it ever
did
truly
something.
came out.
Because we
But
made comments that it was, you know, for reckless endangerment or personal
yeah.
endangerment or personal danger or whatever it was. There was some
Which completely
comments.
justifies a ban if
Yeah.
that was the case. Yeah.
There was some comments about possibilities of like sexual content being showed through like him playing GTA 5, which
Yeah.
you know if you
If you're making
get
the whole stream about it, then
yeah, that's the biggest
Yeah.
thing is like
Right.
if you're making the whole stream about it, that's one thing. But if it just shows up,
There's a
like
difference between like a cutscene and like Witcher 3 of, you know, nudity. Boom. That's okay. But then
'Cause
if you're
especially on
doing the whole
Twitch-
stream of like, yeah.
well, especially on Twitch, like that's not bannable. You know, like if it's in the game,
Yeah.
if there's nudity in the game, if there's sexual, you know, sexual anything in the game, it's not bannable on Twitch. I think it is on YouTube. Correct me
unless
if I'm
it's
wrong.
not
Demonetization most likely.
definitely demonetization.
Yeah.
It's not going to outright get you a mark, but it's also kind of up in the air.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I have deleted VODs because of surprise nipples and
Surprise.
I-
nipples.
I'm
Aren't those the
not-
best?
I'm not
Those are
I'm not
the
playing
best.
with YouTube. I'm
Those
not
are the
playing
best,
with YouTube, man.
I love me some surprise nipples. That's almost as bad as, or that's almost as good as what was it that EA called their
Oh.
surprise
Surprise mechanics.
surprise mechanics. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just surprise nipples and surprise mechanics. We love those here on the podcast. Sin is saying that she got banned for threatening Adriana Chechik. Have we confirmed that? Is that confirmed?
I'm trying to confirm it at this point. Everything that I've seen is saying
Oh.
that it is most likely due to explicit content.
Okay. Well, I mean,
So,
that's not surprising.
but I'm trying to find.
Any-
I'm
any-
trying to find that.
Obviously, anything you hear or see on a Twitch ban up until the point that either the creator, and even then, sometimes you can't really trust the creator because obviously they're looking out for their own
Yeah.
selves.
It's-
But you know, anything you see with a Twitch ban, you know, take it with a grain of salt. Obviously,
Yeah.
and until it comes straight from, you know, Twitch as to which Twitch will never fucking tell you exactly what they banned you for, because that's what Twitch does. It's the D20 rule. We've talked about it many times.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, she got banned. So
The only thing I'm seeing as far as like threatening Adriana Chechik is she was challenging her to a content creator boxing match.
she was challenging her to a
That doesn't seem like a
like
'cause that's like an event, right?
a
That like, all
Jello
these
Jello
content
wrestling
creators have been
match,
doing.
and Twitch was like, "Whoa, we can't have that. That's
Which-
violent."
Oh god.
Yeah,
They don't
but
want any
apparently
surprise nipples
Adriana
coming
kind of
out.
Adriana kind of went off about it like pretty hard. She has
Yeah.
little to no respect for AMO apparently. So
Well, you know, that could be
Yeah.
argued that she doesn't. Never mind. We're not going to go into that. No, I'm sorry. That was rude.
Yeah.
So she's banned, which is not surprising. Obviously,
And
again,
it's
that's
speculated
sex-
it's not going to last very long.
I don't. I
it-
highly doubt it.
on their page, if you go to Amaranth, it's like temporarily banned or
Yeah, what-
temporarily unavailable.
When I
something like
when I
that.
posted it up in the podcast chat, I said it myself that like this is shocking simply because like Amaranth is their golden girl. Like Twitch is not gonna
Yeah.
Twitch ain't gonna perma ban Amaranth. I don't care what you say. She ain't getting perma banned. There's no way that they're gonna get rid of that much money coming in ever.
Yeah.
Like-
yeah.
Then again, I mean, I didn't really see him banning Kai either, and I
Yeah.
don't think that we heard if Kai's ban was permanent.
From what Sin is saying, he's back.
Okay, so
he is back on Twitch, but he's also been taunting
we'll
that
talk about that.
he's
Do we want to
yeah.
talk about that now? Actually,
We can.
We'll
We
pop
could,
that into
yeah.
our kick news. So that's news on Twitch so far. I didn't really see too much on Twitch. Surprisingly, Twitch has had a pretty decent week. They haven't done anything stupid, which is
that we know of.
which is
Let's say that.
mildly surprising, obviously. So moving into kick news, it kind of coincides with. I mean, obviously you guys have heard us talking about it. Moving into kick news, it kind of coincides with Twitch, exactly as we were talking about last week. We were talking about Kai being banned, and apparently he's hinting at moving out off of
Yeah,
Twitch to
he's-
kick.
he's openly said it a few times on stream that Kick is eyeballing him and that he's
Well, we knew
weigh
that.
his
Well,
options.
we
Yeah,
knew that
last
because they were
It-
sending him all that stuff, like
yeah.
the shoes, right? And like,
yeah, he's just basically been continuing that trend of like, yeah, I'm considering my options, and
yeah,
yeah, I would be very surprised if he ends up getting banned again if he doesn't make the move. I don't know if he'll move before that happens, but he's
I
definitely
s-
flexing that potential to Twitch to maybe circumvent
it
future
just
bans. I don't know.
it just
he
makes me
could even
laugh.
Like
honestly.
mildly threatening that he'll take his audience elsewhere. I don't know, man.
Yeah. It just makes me laugh because it's like, and I'm sorry, we're on the let's go back to the main podcast scene just for this, so we're not showing off Amaranth Band.
That would
It
be
just
good clickbait, though.
it would be good clickbait. It cracks me up because it's like you know, we talked about it last week again. I know I keep repeating myself because it's the second week in a row that we've had Twitch bans pretty much front and
Yeah.
center,
Big ones,
right?
at
But
least. Yeah, like
you think about it, right? Like we talked about the fact that Kick is using AWS services, right, for their
Mhm.
streaming services, right? I for a big creator to go over to Kick, it just makes me laugh because it's like Twitch is looking at it like, okay, go ahead, you're just making us more money.
Right. They're still
In-
getting
in a
paid
sense, yeah.
one
They're
way,
still getting-
well,
One
indirectly.
way or
Still getting
another.
their
Yeah.
check, yeah,
You're making us money, you know, and
Yeah.
it cracks me up. Now, granted, yeah, it's gonna catch up with them pretty quick. Like it's gonna end up biting them in the ass, I think, here pretty quickly if Kick can get off their feet and kind of make themselves like a common name inside of the streaming universe, right? If they can actually get past this whole them being kind of the dude bro streaming service, you know,
I was gonna
which
say their image is still not quite there.
yeah,
in
and
my eyes, but
I saw something about like XQC was talking about Aiden Ross and how he wasn't impressed with Aiden Ross recently. Some of the stuff that's been going on with Aiden Ross. I also saw some stuff about like apparently Kick is home to like some kind of like KKK alternative or something like that. Like
God,
it's strange, man.
Interesting.
It is
Do you remember the logo?
yeah, yes,
I
was
do
like,
remember
the-
the logo.
The logo, man.
yes, I do remember
Maybe
the
that's
logo.
coming back in full.
Oh no.
I don't know. I've heard
We're
a couple of rumors though about that.
Yeah, we're also getting news from Sin in chat that Kick's having payment issues where people's payments aren't coming in full, or they're not the same
Interesting.
amounts that they were
Wow.
being
Interesting.
told. So
That's
just
very
for this
interesting
month,
because that is their biggest draw right
a
there.
huge
Is
one.
the
Yeah.
payment model.
That's
and
that's
they
a
just went
that's a
on
big one.
live like a couple weeks ago saying that they have no issues with their financial stability and that they're actually like net positive as a company, even with all the expenses and stuff, even with paying for Twitch's
Mm.
AWS and all that.
There's some.
They said
I
they
don't
were
know.
still in a net positive. So
I'm smelling some fish.
It's
I don't
weird,
know.
man. I've said
Yeah.
from the start of Kick's inception that with their whole what is it? What was it like a 80-20 cut or like a 90-10?
No,
What was it?
95.5.
95 like that's
It's
there's no
95.5.
way there's no way you're making enough money to continue to support the website
Yeah.
on 5%.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way.
Like there's no way that they're making a net positive. Like it's got to be. I mean, it's all funded by stake. Like that. I
And
just don't
that
see the net positive.
I mean
net
that
positive
is
from
one
that.
thing. That is one thing that it is funded by a
A
gambling
gambling
site.
site. Yeah.
So that is a very possible thing. Like they're just accepting the hemorrhage essentially, and they're just
I
pumping.
would be interested to see if they're not like talking to backers and stuff like that and using some like using a figure of like this is how much money has been generated through Kick towards the gambling specifically, like how
Yeah.
much like they're using gambling numbers to inflate the
Kicks.
earnings from Kick, like
Yeah.
attributing those new gambling numbers to
I wouldn't
Kick
doubt it.
specifically.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't doubt it. Not to mention the fact that like again, if it's a streaming platform and you're streaming slots and like gambling on that through their website, like that's just free advertising at that point, you know. So it's
Yeah.
very interesting. Interesting to see what's going on with Kick. The more that I hear about it, the less I'm impressed with it. But the more that I hear about it, and the more that I hear about kind of what they're forcing out of Twitch, I'm kind of interested to see how far they can take it, because
Yeah.
obviously,
Mhm.
like Twitch is not in a good state right now. Like we've been talking about this for a couple weeks, right? Like
Right.
say what you want about them. They have some good sides, they have some bad sides, but right now the bad
I think
sides
that's
are
the streaming
definitely.
platforms in a whole.
It is, and
You
it
know,
is. I
but
mean that
definitely on Twitch's side, like alone, like yeah, they're not in a great state.
it goes across on any streaming site. Like YouTube has its ups and
Yeah.
downs, Twitch has its ups and downs, Kick has a lot of downs.
That sounds so bad.
That does sound bad. I'm sorry. Twitch Kick has a lot of a few
Downsides.
ups and a
Lows
lot
or
of
something.
downsides. Yes, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That was rough. I'm sorry. That was
God.
poorly worded. Well, yeah. So
That's
we'll
it. You're
we'll
cut
s-
from the hosting.
we'll
slot.
just go ahead and move on from this, shall we?
What's
So, yeah.
YouTube got going on?
YouTube, from what I saw, not a ton going on this week. They've had, this was from last week actually. This was posted at the end of April. This was YouTube's ad revenue is dropping by 6.7 billion during the first quarter, which I wanted to talk about this last week, but obviously we weren't able to do a show last week because Sin was sick. But this is huge to me, at least, and we kind of had a conversation about this in the podcast chat, where it was like, I'm curious what they're going to be doing, because it says YouTube brought in 6.6 billion in advertising revenue to the start of the year, continuing a downward trend for the video giant after past quarters of explosive growth during the earlier years of the pandemic, which could be
That
said
was
for
gonna be obvious.
yeah, could be
Right.
said for any, like, obviously this kind of drop is being mimicked in a lot of these sites. Twitch
yeah.
is having
Which has a similar drop.
huge, yeah. Twitch is having a huge, not only a an ad revenue drop, but also a viewership drop recently. I think recently they dropped down like another 5% from the first
Yeah.
quarter or something like that.
Well, that's
So-
just to be expected, you know.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's to
People
be
are going back
expected.
to work.
Everyone's
People are going back
locked
to
in.
work. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's people are going back to work. People don't have as much free time to watch streams, to watch YouTube, everything like that. The reason why I brought it up was because I was curious to see. So Susan's out. Obviously, we talked about this in another podcast. Susan Wojcicki has left the company. She is no longer CEO.
She gone.
Right? She's gone. I can't remember this dude's name. What's the current? What do you remember his name?
Didn't it
I
say
can't
in
remember
here,
his name
thought?
right
I
off
can't
the top
remember
of
his
my
name.
head now.
I can't either. Whatever
Oh,
it
it's
is.
said in here.
Neil Mohan. Neil
Yeah.
Mohan is the new CEO, the former chief of product officers, and he was trying to push crypto, if I remember correctly. Was he not?
He was before. It was years
Before.
beforehand,
Was it
back when
years?
he was the chief.
And when
Back
he
when
was
the
signed
chief
on,
of,
he has not mentioned it since.
Okay.
So
He has-
far.
so far.
So far.
So
So far. That's
Yeah.
that's the key point that I was trying to, like, so
It is.
far. It's gonna
Yeah.
I'm very interested to see, like, if the execs of Google start pushing them for, like, not just like to go back into with him, at least go back into crypto, but we've talked about it a couple of different times. One of the best things about streaming over there on YouTube is there's no ads when you're live streaming.
Live ads.
You're right.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's ads when you're watching shorts either. Is there?
But now, Bill, isn't
So
no,
you can
I don't believe
add
so.
ads to
In-
your live stream. They're just not
That's-
forced upon it. It's
They're
it's
not
part of
forced,
the
yeah.
But they're
Yeah.
only available for partners, I believe.
correct. Yep.
Yeah.
They are not forced onto streams that are not partnered. And if you see an ad during a live stream, it is because the live
They opted
streamer
in.
wants
The creator
to
has
opt
opted
into
for
that.
it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's my biggest thing, is like, I'm curious, and again, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think there's any ads in shorts, is there?
I don't believe so.
I don't believe there
Uh,
is.
There's
I've
some sort
never-
of ad fund, but it's weird. I think it's like in between individual shorts. Like after
Is
you
there?
watch
I've-
so many, you'll get
I've never
an
seen it.
ad short.
I don't think I've
Oh,
ever
It'll
okay.
seen
So
basically
it's like
be
TikTok.
a short for. It's exactly
it's a
like
promoted
TikTok. Yep.
promoted short that is essentially an ad, but you could just scroll right past it.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, the biggest reason why I bring that up is because I'm curious to see how much more they're going to push advertisements, simply because their ad revenue is starting to decline a little bit. You know,
I'm fairly optimistic that they won't.
You think so?
Because it seems like his direction from the marketplace talk that he did whenever he became CEO is he's wanting to give more ways for both creator and YouTube to make money outside of advertiser specific. In that whole speech, he didn't mention uh, any ad campaigns outside of expanding on the shorts ads. He didn't bring up live streaming ads or anything like that. Most of his money making stuff was based around marketplace editions, more options for memberships, like
Mhm.
to make memberships more of an incentive.
Yeah.
Um, Not saying that ads being forced into live streams as the live streaming space on YouTube grows couldn't happen because we know how well that has done for Twitch. But maybe if he's smart and all the
Well,
people at YouTube live streaming are
well,
smart, they've noticed the backlash
yeah.
from
I was about to
Twitch.
say let
Right.
me correct you right there. It hasn't done well for Twitch. It's done well
Well, it's
for
done well
Twitch.
monetarily.
It's done well
Monetarily,
for
yeah.
Twitch, but it hasn't done well for Twitch. You know, like
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
it's
I
definitely
catch what you're
been
putting
a
down.
yeah, it's definitely been a rough spot for creators and viewers. It's done great for Twitch in the way of like they're getting obviously a shit ton of ad revenue for it, but
Yeah.
Right.
it's definitely upset their user base for sure.
Oh yeah.
I found this part of it a little interesting. It says right here that in his first public message released on March 1st, Mohan said that the top priorities including supporting YouTube creators by improving monetization tools, increasing accessibility on the platform, and focusing on growth in areas like gaming and podcasting. Included in
Right.
those areas where YouTube's short form offerings, shorts, and its stream products like YouTube TV and primetime channels. I'm almost curious. I obviously I don't have YouTube TV. I don't have their their whole thing. Do we know if they have advertisements on the YouTube TV shit like commercials?
Can't tell you. I've never
Can't tell
used it,
you
Because
and I
either.
don't know
that to
anybody that's used
me,
it.
if they don't have them, like that to me is a huge position. Like obviously they're gonna piss people off. Like when you look at Hulu, right?
Especially
Who
since they just jumped the price
yeah,
up.
yeah. When you look at Hulu, and you look at what they did when they first started, and then when they started implementing like advertisements and shit. I Let me delete that guy. Sorry. Uh, when they first implemented like advertisements, people were pissed simply because it's like what that's why I came here. I came here for no advertisements. I came here to watch my favorite TV shows without having to worry about advertisements. It just makes me wonder if they're having a hard time with monetization and ad revenue and everything like that, how far YouTube is willing to go
Yeah.
to push that, you know?
Apparently, it looks like YouTube TV might have. It says you may see ads in a few different places in YouTube TV, like when you're watching live TV or video on demand or YouTube videos. So,
Yeah,
like, I guess, but it's not very clear on
interesting. Yeah.
that.
So
I
yeah,
don't know.
that's YouTube to just also to just add on to that, YouTube has added podcasts to YouTube Music, which is pretty big. That's I don't know if you guys know what
That
YouTube
is
podcasts
dope.
are. I
Yeah.
still don't know what the fuck YouTube podcasts
I'm
are.
kind of yeah. I don't know about it either, but YouTube Music is decently big.
From
So
from
I know.
everything I've read and from everything I think I've talked to you about, Bill, it seems like
Yeah.
YouTube podcasts is just like it's almost like Apple Podcasts, but just for YouTube. So it's nice that they're finally kind of implementing that into YouTube Music for people that
Yeah.
use YouTube Music. I don't personally know of anybody that uses YouTube Music.
I know of one person who uses YouTube Music, so
Yeah.
it's a nifty thing for the people that do.
Is that is
Even if
you now is YouTube Music just like their Spotify? Like it
it's their
it doesn't
Spotify,
stop it.
yeah.
It
Yeah.
doesn't pause it when you're listening to music. Isn't that what it does?
But now,
Yep.
but no, maybe I was thinking of something else. But YouTube Music, wasn't that there a thing like where if you listen to YouTube Music on stream, you wouldn't get DMCA'd, or was that something different?
I don't know. I know they have it's something different than what
That
you're
was a
thinking of.
YouTube playlist or something
They
like
do have a YouTube creator playlist.
something like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
never mind. Different things. Can
Yeah.
remember.
I
I
have no
will
clue.
say that I think going back to the monetization methods and ads and stuff, I think one of the big reasons we haven't seen NFTs brought into the talk recently is because there's been a massive
They're
like
not doing well.
NFT and crypto
Yeah.
market. It's a collapse
They're
completely
not
in the
they're not
market. It's
doing
down
well at all. Yeah.
88% in 2023 from the 2021 spike.
Well,
So
what that huge company that I can't remember. I can
Yeah,
never remember the name of
FTX.
it. FTX. Yeah.
FTX.
That
Yeah,
that was like the downfall. That was like the start of the downfall of NFTs. Like it was good. NFTs were kind of doing badly prior to that, but like that was just like the final little flick of the domino, And
yeah.
it
Yeah.
seems like that
Pulled that plug.
that just kind of screwed everything
Yeah.
up royally.
Yeah.
There's a few more niche marketplaces that are still doing well, like Disney's NFT marketplace VV is doing like it's
Disney's
surprisingly
NFT.
doing fairly
Disney.
decent, but as far
Trust.
as like full Web3 like blockchain based like because
Yeah.
VV is its own like little application. There's not like any blockchain to it for
What
the
what
most
about
part.
what about our Billy the Squid NFT base?
Yeah,
Is
when
that
we
doing
when
pretty
we
well?
get them
Is
Billy
that,
the
is that
when we get them Billy the Squid feet pick
yeah.
NFTs, bro.
I'm getting all of the tokens funged or non-funged, and
Non-fungible.
I'll be distributing them
How
here
much
within between now and 2055.
how much
Awesome. I'm a founder, baby.
how much do I need to pay to get my Billy the Squid bathwater? Let's get it now.
Bathwater.
Let's do it right now.
Listen, if if
You
the
have to.
price
You
is right,
actually.
anything's possible.
You actually have to extract with that NFT in Billy the Squid's live
Billy the
game.
Squid's new game.
Yeah.
God.
The tide pool. You gotta extract from the tide pool. Oh my god. All right. We're getting off track.
We've taken this too far. Okay.
So with that being said, that's pretty much it. That's it for and as far as I saw, YouTube, Twitch, Kick didn't really have a ton going on this week. So relatively
No.
surprised with that. Like obviously YouTube, I don't think we've had really that much to talk about with YouTube that's been like controversial for a few weeks, a few months, at
Which
the
is a
very
little
least.
bit unfortunate
Yeah.
because I was hoping to hear like at least something positive, like, hey, we're gonna be updating that chat experience, or
Yeah.
hey, we're buying out Truffle from Ludwig, and we're just gonna
Ludwig, yeah.
integrate Truffle into like the live stream experience overall.
Or
That would be
anything on the
cool.
affiliate program.
Yeah, or the affiliate program that they said was going to be announced in the first half of the year,
Sure.
and we're
I
now
like
on month 5 out of 6. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
Quarters, man.
just YouTube things.
Quarters, man. That's what it is. So yeah, that's the end of that. YouTube, Twitch, Kick. Obviously, we have pretty much every week. So if you guys enjoy that, come on back for it. We're moving into what we've been playing. Do you want to start out, Bill or Scruffy, or do you want me to start out?
Whoever. Toss the dice. I
We'll
don't know.
we'll start out.
Roll a D20 like Twitch.
We'll start out with you. We'll start out with you and move on to that. So
Okay.
tell us about it.
Okay, me. I wasn't sure if you were talking about
Yes,
me or not.
yes,
so.
you,
Dead
you.
Island 2. You. All right.
You, sir.
Yeah, man. So I've been jamming the Dead Island 2. I played it only a little bit here on stream since it came out, and other than that, like through my days I actually have off from work because been a busy beaver. I've actually just been enjoying the game off stream a lot. It is such a love child of Dead Island 1. It is incredible. My biggest thing is like, and I don't understand it, and I mean this in a good way. It's like no time has passed since releasing Dead Island 1 and the announcement of Dead Island 2. It's like it feels just like Dead Island 1 did, but in a new environment and updated feel still. So you still have all the new shit, but it just feels the same. And that's great. I love it. It is honestly all I wanted from this game. I didn't want it to be, a groundbreaking new features, new this, new
Yeah.
that, everything. I just wanted it to be Dead Island still and have that feel. And it does. It dishes out with that. It's still got like the cheesy comedy that Dead Island 1 thrived on. It's still got the hack and slash, and even better in this one. Like the gore in this game and the zombie slaying is top notch. Like it.
Well, they
it
got that.
is
They
a
got that new.
blast.
They got the new system that they added in that
It's
like
the new gore
flesh
system.
system.
the
yeah, it's like
flesh system, yeah.
procedurally generated like gore.
Oh, it's brutal, man. I love it. Oh man. In this video here, I was playing with Sin. And the co-op experience is it's pretty fluid. Like for launch day co-op goes nowadays, like it works pretty fluidly. I don't know necessarily how the save function works. I think we were playing on his world, so I think from what I played, I think what I played on his world corresponded with the missions in my own. So I think it's character based, you know, it's not
Okay.
like world save based. And everything's shared. It's not like instance, like, you know, whatever he opens, I can also open, you know, so it's shared loot. No, that would be instanced loot. Never mind. Sorry. Yeah. So like each person has their own instance loot.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, man, it's honestly a really good time. I'm enjoying it. I'm not like super far into it because the way I played these games is like I just run around killing everything, looking in every you know, nook and cranny, going for all like the secret chests and whatnot. But it's a lot of fun.
So let me
It
just
offers
get it straight
sure.
again. So when you open a chest, the loot inside
I
that chest is instanced for you, yes?
For me, yes, and then he can also go and
Okay.
open that chest. and
I
it'll
was
be
I was confused.
instanced.
Like I was like, wait, what? So when you open a chest, like it's first come first fucking serve.
No. It's instance per instance.
Okay.
So like he can also
Okay.
open that chest then and get
That
his
makes a
own
little
loot.
bit more sense. Okay.
And it's randomized too, so it's not like y'all are getting the same, you know,
Yeah.
stuff or whatever. But it's really good, man. You know what they still have the durability system that the old one did, but I think it's better, at least in a little bit in this one because you can actually repair your items now for a cost, and it's
Well,
fairly cheap. It's not
you
too
could-
expensive.
couldn't you repair your items in Dead Island, the first one? It's just like you can only repair them like a certain amount of times. Or am I thinking
I
of?
believe that was Dying Light.
I might be thinking of Dying Light. Yeah, that might be
I
it.
believe that was Dying Light. The weapons also have great modding capabilities. You know, like you can turn a katana into an electrified katana, or I had these like Wolverine claws that I turned into like fiery Wolverine claws. They've got a wide variety of weapons. I'm a big fan of like the heavy hitters, like the sledgehammers and the you know, oh, I found a bow staff. That thing is awesome, man. I'm just
Bow
like
staff?
yeah, it's a bow staff, dude.
Interesting.
It's awesome, man. I put like heavy weights on the end of it, so it like stuns zombies, and after I stun them, I hit them again. They go flying.
So basically,
it's-
you're saying you found a dumbbell is what you're telling.
kinda.
So
Man,
what
sorry,
I'm kind of
Steven.
gathering is it's kind of has like that Borderlands style looting system.
Yeah, definitely kind of like that Borderlands style looting. Especially like the newest one, Tiny Tina's Wonderland. It feels like.
Yeah.
Um,
So
Yeah,
if
especially
you were
with
to
all the
pick up something that
elements.
would be better for your co-op partner's build, then you
Yeah.
can always drop that for them. They wouldn't be able to see it immediately to like steal it from you, but you can like compare. Oh, I got this out of this box. Well, I got this. Well,
Exactly.
here, trades these.
Exactly. Yeah, that exactly. So it's really cool. And I was on a train of thought. There what was I gonna say?
I like the card system. That was one thing that I was very
Card
very
system's
interested in.
nice, and it's not overly complicated.
That's what I was
which is
going to
the
ask.
best
Is
thing.
if how like complicated is it? How customizable
it's-
is it? Everything like that. Like that's the
I w-
that was the biggest thing that I was curious about was like just how deep into like character customization you could go.
it's
Because
not-
like
it's not that
obviously
deep, bro.
it's not that deep, bro.
It's-
Because
it's not that deep, bro.
obviously you have like I think you have like what 4 characters that you can play in total right now, or 4 or 5.
I think I thought it was
Oh,
6.
like slots.
Is it
I
6?
think it's. I
That was
think
6
it is.
characters total.
I think it is 6.
Okay. Well,
I
you've
only
got
have one at the moment though.
you got however many characters you can play, but like from what they were saying in the IGN preview that we had a few months back, right? They were saying that like each character has like its set skills, but like depending on like what weapons you use and what cards you use, you can completely change how your character
Kinda.
plays essentially.
Yeah.
So
I think, I mean, like it is true. That is true. But I feel like it's not that big of an impact so far from what I've seen.
Gotcha.
The card
That's kinda
system is
upsetting.
not overly complicated, but with
was that guy
it's
was that guy
also-
dumpster diving?
Yeah, there's zombies that dig in the dumpsters.
What?
I know it's weird, man. It's LA, man. They're just reliving their past.
I guess.
That's
man,
not
I
actually a
guess.
zombie. That's just your old California crackhead.
Shoot, what I was saying though is like with it being not like super overly complicated, like it also is semi like simplistic. So like you can't go into like huge theory crafting builds, but it still gives you enough variety like to change it up, you know. Like I can still have like a build where I have this like ability to like smash the ground and send zombies like flying back in all directions, or I can go like the build where I can like kick them through the air and like, you know, dive kick them, or, you know, kind of stuff like that. There's more like agility type builds and more like blunt force, like, which I think Dead Island had like that too, but it was more per character. Now you like you said, you can at least
Yeah,
play
Dead
any
Island
character
didn't
you
have
want.
Dead Island didn't have any
It was a
customization of the
skill tree,
characters. It
yeah.
was just
It was a
skill
skill tree
Yeah.
per character.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So you can at least change it up per character now in this one, which is nice.
Now,
it-
one question I got is
Sure.
how is there a severe detriment to
The
playing as
loving
one
memory
character
of
over the
Sam.
other? Because I wasn't sure if there's like abilities per character, and I also know from what I have seen that some characters are just blatantly better than others, and there's actually a few that are kind of stinkers, based
I
on kit specifically. But how much does that actually impact
hard for me
the
to
game?
totally answer because I've only played so far one character, which is like this Irish badass girl,
Yeah.
who's like a heavy hitter. I know Sin's playing like this firefighter dude that like can go for like more strength builds, like health, like almost tanky build. Um,
Gotcha. The character
I
I've heard is kind of bad is the one that's based on like throwing weapons and
may
stuff.
maybe yeah, because I don't find myself throwing weapons too much. I feel like it doesn't do too much, so that could be the case. But I don't know. From what I can tell, at least like everyone seems somewhat balanced. It I feel like it comes down to more like your weapon builds and stuff.
Gotcha.
Um,
Okay.
but I don't know.
So
I guess like
Sin's saying there's one or two characters that are a little better than the overall arcing like everybody else, but it's really
yeah.
based off of like what cards you get and what cards you use.
Yeah, that too. So, yeah, I would say it's fairly balanced, other than like
Again,
we
what
said, that just those couple characters.
again
Another
with again with the
trash.
dumpster diving fucking zombies. Apparently
Yeah.
that's a thing in LA.
The last thing I wanted to hit on though was just in general, like LA and the environment and world environment is top notch. Honestly, like
Oh
I've
yeah,
only
no,
explored
it
so
looks
far.
realistic. It looks like what LA is right now.
Exactly. I've only explored so far like the few areas being the upper hills, and then like this hotel, and I just got into the Hollywood Hills now. And it's honestly awesome. I crossed into like through this like streamer's house, like legit like online
Like a content
influencer
creator's
house. You know?
house.
Okay, yeah, it was like one of those I don't know what they're called, but like TikTok has them, like they're
Yeah.
influencer houses, you know, like full of like different influencers. And it was like a hype house or something. And there you go through all the rooms. They're all like one's like this like really like prissy like girl. You find her audio tape and she's got a little yapping dog in the background. This other one's just like Chad Bros, like macho bodybuilder type dude. And then there's another room where it's like these podcasting bros. I was like, yo, this is our room.
That's gonna be us. That's good. We're gonna
Yeah.
we're gonna be the podcasting dudes in the
Yeah, in
zombie
the
apocalypse.
apocalyptic of LA.
Oh, okay. I guess apparently you just electrocuted yourself to death.
Oh, I picked up an exploding car battery that I threw. Yeah, I
Oh goodness.
totally.
Is the game
It's
difficult?
No, I mean it's difficult if you go out of your recommended area. You know, like if you go to like a higher level area, you'll get pretty easily one shot by the zombies, even if they're like normal zombies. I think that's just to prevent, you know, any sort of like skips and, you know, what, like I don't know, stuff like that. I think they still want to
Gotcha.
have somewhat of a direction of the game.
So-
to say not to say that you couldn't do it, it would just be more difficult. But just
So-
One
generally
run?
playing through the game is it's pretty
whole
easy
run.
going.
Bill's already like fucking gonna go in there naked, fucking no leveling runs. Let's go, baby.
Yeah.
So my question is, so the storyline when it comes down to like actually getting the story, I know you mentioned that you can find like recordings. Is the story actually like fully like voice acted with like actual characters, or is it more like
Yeah.
I like
Uh,
76 where like you find recordings and that's how you
No,
get
no,
all your
no.
story?
It's fully voice act. You have like a group of characters that you're trying to like almost right now, all I know, so it's not even spoilers, it's like beginning of the game stuff, is like that you're just trying to find like a way to evac and like find a cure because
Yeah.
you're one of the immune people who are immune, just like Dead Island 1. There was a guy who was immune that you played as. So this one, all your co-survivors or whatever, they're fully voice act, and you're going through this story with them. Trying to help them evac and whatnot. So yeah,
Gotcha.
no, it's pretty. It's nothing crazy. It's not like a huge great story, but I don't think that's what the game is meant to like thrive on.
Nah.
It's
Yeah, it's
always good to have
so
that,
it's
but
about the
it's
smashing the zombies. Like let's be real.
exactly, man.
You don't play these
Exactly.
games for the fucking story. You play them
No,
to dick around and kill zombies.
yeah,
Which I
yeah.
think is the big differentiator between something like this and, say, your Dying Lights, where Dying Light is very much
Very
based
much a
around that
story-based.
story.
Yeah,
Very
definitely.
similar in concept with like open world running around smashing
Sure.
zombies and stuff, but it gives you the reason where both of these can exist. Do you think that's if Dying Light 3 were to come out anytime soon, it could be like, do you think there's a competition factor there, or do you think there is enough differentiating between the two franchises that it really doesn't matter?
I think there's enough to differentiate it. But I think Dying Light is trying to like compete. I don't think Dead Island's trying to compete. I think Dying Light is though, because as soon as Dead Island 2 launched, they I don't know if y'all saw, but they updated and launched their new gore update, and they updated all of their gore, made it like 10 times gorier. I'm like, this just like screams like they're trying to
Yeah.
compete with Dead Island's 2
Doesn't
flesh
surprise me.
system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think
That's kinda
honestly, I
funny.
think I think Dying Light's trying to compete, but I don't think Dead Island has any cares in the world.
I think
No,
Dying Light's
Dying
been
Light
trying to
2
compete
wasn't
for a long
super well
time.
received.
It wasn't, yeah. So
Yeah, I think Dying
I think they can
Light's been
coincide.
trying to compete for a long time, and it's just not. I mean, it's a good
Yeah,
game. Like, don't get me wrong,
Dying Light 1
is
was great.
Dying Light
okay.
1
Yeah.
was phenomenal, especially after
yeah.
the DLC, but Dying Light
Yeah.
2 was a big step back in a lot of ways.
For sure.
Yeah, agree. Yeah.
Is this
but no,
But see, this isn't a step back. This seems amazing.
it is
is-
it is
If you
amazing.
like that kind of thing.
is this do you think it's worth the money? Because this is a $70 game, right?
It is. Shoot, I bought it. And I don't even remember. No, I think it's a $60 game.
Is it? Nice.
Let me go to Epic and make sure.
That's
It
the
is
only
Epic.
problem. It is fucking epic,
It
bro.
is.
God damn it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not happy about that. Sin is saying that it is 70. So
Oh, it is 70. Okay.
I'm
I
saying
would say
$59.99 here.
did Sin buy the big boy edition? That wouldn't surprise me.
he did buy the big boy.
That might be why.
There you go.
That's
No,
a-
I
Base
think it's
edition.
60. It's 60.
It's 60.
It's
Okay, for a
yeah,
base.
$59.99, 60. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But not for Sin.
That's actually surprising considering how many games are coming out at $70 right now. We'll talk about
I
another
know.
one here in a second. Not
Yeah,
worth it.
real quick. Sin's I want to give Sin's thoughts on Dead Island 2,
Yeah.
just since we're talking about it. Sin is saying, it's a fun game, great throwback feeling to the first game, just expanded on, like I started out with. It feels just like Dead Island 1. Amazing. That's the best thing to me. And the dialogue is a little rough, cringy at times. Can agree. I think it's intended, but I can definitely agree. It's not like Forspoken cringy. It's just like LA cringy. Like
Oh,
like you
don't
cringe
don't
at,
say it, bro. You'll unlock the mirth.
sorry, Bill.
It's all good.
But I think it's just like that LA cringe. Like when you talk
Yeah.
to like a dude from
Well,
LA, they're all like
especially
and, like
especially since like you're running into like content creator houses and shit like that. I think it's
Exactly.
supposed to
The
be like a
difference in
meme.
intentional.
The
meme
difference in the
cringe.
cringe is the
Yeah.
set piece itself. It's not taking
Yeah.
itself
It's
seriously
supposed to
with
be-
the
yeah.
cringy dialogue.
For
It's a
sure.
Yeah,
meme.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, no, that's what Sin's thoughts.
Thin's
I
thoughts.
think I just had
thoughts.
a stroke. Sin's thoughts on the games were so yeah. I'm loving it.
That's good.
It's good.
Hell yeah.
I will pick it up when it goes on sale for $30 on Steam in the year. So
Yes, for sure, man. And we'll play it then. It'll be just as fun.
it'll be just as fun, baby. Yeah. So that's
Last question. Do you see yourself finishing it? Is it one of those things that you think you're going to burn out before you actually get through whatever the game
I-
is? And
I
do you
do
think you're
see
going to be
myself-
missing out if you don't finish it?
Yeah, but that's personal.
Okay.
I don't finish a lot of things and I miss
be-
out and I still don't go back.
To be completely honest, I don't think that I ever finished the first Dead Island. Honestly, like I think I got
don't
close,
think I did either. I know,
but I
got
don't think I
close.
ever finished it, and I don't think I ever finished its DLC either.
I know. Oh, I don't know if I did either, but I do see myself finishing this one because it is like I don't think it's that long of a game compared to like Hogwarts Legacy or like other recent single player games. I think it's got a decent like playtime, something that I can actually finish and enjoy fully without getting burnt
Still
out.
going out there and saying nobody I know has finished Hogwarts Legacy yet.
Exactly.
I think that there was a thing. It was like 20% of people have actually finished Hogwarts Legacy and gotten the end achievement so far.
Wow, that's funny.
Wild.
So, but
All right.
honestly, like that's a staple for single player game. Like I don't think that a lot of people finish single player games. If I'm being
Especially
completely
open
honest.
world.
Recent
For yourself,
open world.
bud.
I mean, yeah, like you make sure that you push forward, but like normal people that are just
I beat him like 5
Yeah.
more times because
Yeah.
I played the same 3.
people that aren't wanting to do like fucking masochistic naked level 1 runs aren't gonna fucking finish it, obviously, but but yeah, no, like normal people when it comes down to I shouldn't say normal people. Most
what do you really
gamers
think of me, Enigma? Tell me what you really think.
You're above and beyond, bro. You're a Chad, man. No, but yeah, I think that like the basics, the basic gamer isn't going to finish most single player games these days. It in conjunction to what we used to do, where like we were playing Banjo Kazooie for like 5.5 months straight trying to beat that bitch.
Or like Sly Cooper.
Yeah, like I just don't think that a lot of people finish single player games
TikTok.
anymore. Yeah, it's just not something that happens. So,
Agreed.
but
yeah.
So that's Dead Island 2. If you guys are interested in it, I think it's $60 over on Epic. You can't get it on Steam because they're a bunch of bitches. In a year you will, but we'll reconvene then because I'll be able to play it. So
Yep.
Moving on to another shit show that I shouldn't say another shit show because the last one wasn't a shit show, but to a shit show. I and myself and Sin played Redfall. I don't know if you guys have heard it. It's a little game that just came out from Xbox and Microsoft. I don't know if you guys have heard of it yet or not, but
no, I don't think so. No,
it's it's doing really well. No, it's really not. It's doing crazily bad. I don't know. To me, I personally don't feel
I'm
like
interested to see this footage because this is the first time I'm seeing something that hasn't been like
so
stalker meme footage.
So there
of people, like,
there is
compiling all the bullshit.
So there is one section I think that I don't think it's in this footage, but there is one section that I do find one of the bugs, like when the characters are like moving but their feet aren't moving. That's the only thing that I've seen really that's been like bug for me at least. Now granted, I've seen those memes, like those meme compilations of like all the stupid shit that's going on with it. And
I mean, obviously that's real stuff that's happening.
Well, yeah, 100%. Like I'm not saying that it's not at all. Like it's a fucking, it pisses me off that it's happening to an Arcane game because Arcane games have in the past been pretty polished on release. Like I don't think that
also do Grounded. Or
no,
was that only Bethesda?
No, Arcane did not do Grounded. I can't remember who did Grounded.
Let me hold on. It was Bethesda.
Was that Black Isle?
No,
that wasn't Black Isle. Was it?
Was it id?
It might have been id. I don't remember. You guys figure out. Moving into like the actual game, right?
Dishonored.
Yes, they did Dishonored.
That's what they did. Yeah.
I can't remember what other one they fucking did, but yeah, Dishonored,
Prey.
Dishonored 2, Prey. Yes. So they've done some really fucking good games, and like Dishonored, when it first released, was trumpeted as like a really good experience when it came to like actual gameplay.
It was super innovative too with the stealth mechanics. It revolutionized stealth mechanics in video gaming.
Yeah,
for sure.
This one, not so much. Like,
no,
I'm gonna be straight up. Like the gameplay, not innovative. It's pretty bog standard for a shooter. About the only innovative thing that they got going for them is kind of like the art style, which even then it's not all that innovative. It's just kind of like a cell shaded.
I was gonna mention it. To me, the art style is like so off-putting. Everything looks so glossy, and I'm not a fan.
It's not bad. Like I think that might be a little bit of YouTube's compression because it doesn't look bad when it comes to in-game. I will say
Possibly.
that like I know what you're talking about because like when I'm running around with my flashlight like I am, there's certain meshes and there's certain surfaces that like if it's white, it blinds you. It's like a
Yeah.
fucking it's like a flashbang for 100%.
Yeah,
But
just I don't
Redfall,
know.
it's a shooter. It's a
Epics.
first-person shooter. Looter, I guess that is what they're trying. The biggest thing, and both myself and Sin kind of agreed on this. A second, cover me
Oh
for a second.
God.
You saw that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That room.
Cover me for
that
a second.
room.
My AC just came
the
on.
textures inside.
All good.
The textures inside that room, like
Yeah, he shined it with a
freaked
flashlight.
out,
was,
and
like,
it was kind of what he
meshing
was saying with the meshing going
yeah.
bad. But as far
Yeah.
as I've seen, it's first person shooter. It's an open world game. It's a looter shooter, similar to like Borderlands, Destiny, that kind of thing. And it's got like 3 or 4 different genres that it's trying
Yeah.
to hit, and it
So,
doesn't nail
that's-
any one of them in particular.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I was gonna get at. So myself and Sin, and apparently you know, I kind of understand this and agree with it. Like I think that it has a bit of an identity crisis. I don't think
Yeah.
that like Sin said it the other day that like he thinks that it went through a pretty bad development cycle, like a development hell cycle. I have to kind of agree with him from playing it.
Seems to be the only way that games get
If-
to this certain
if
point
you-
at launch, man.
It feels like they started as like a narratively driven first person shooter, kind of like Dishonored.
I mean, when we first saw it, it almost looked like it was trying to hit the mark of like Left 4 Dead 2. You know,
Well,
like, 'cause
that's what I was
also
gonna get to,
announced
yeah.
around the Back for Blood.
That's
era too,
what I was gonna get to. Is like it feels like when they first released it, they were trying to push more towards a direction of like narratively driven
Yeah.
first person shooter like Dishonored, and then they were like, well, wouldn't it be cool if we like did something like Back for Blood or Left 4 Dead?
Yeah,
You know, and then they were like, well, if we're gonna do that, let's just add some looter shooter elements into it as well. You know,
Why not,
why
you
the
know?
fuck not? Why the fuck not? dude?
Yeah.
Like everybody loves a looter shooter. Come on, let's who fucking needs that, you know? But the problem with that is that like I feel like they stretched themselves out too thin and just kind of started going in different directions, and nothing really cohesively like brings the game together as like the final product, right? Like they got a lot of ingredients for the bread, but they fucked up on mixing it, and now it's just kind of a hodgepodge of everything, you know? And
Yeah.
it doesn't do necessarily anything really well. if that makes any
I'm
sense.
watching this, and you've killed one enemy in the past 3 minutes of running around,
Yeah,
and then those
Is it-
enemies that you just rolled up on didn't realize that you were there until
Yeah,
you were
the-
point blank shooting
the-
them. The AI
oh
seems-
shit,
AI is
I'm being
rough.
shot at.
Yeah,
Oh.
the AI is rough. That's a lot of people have been having issues with like the AI is rough. The story is forgettable in a lot of instances. I personally, from the story that I've seen, it's not terrible. It's not bad. It's not the best.
I've heard the story is the best aspect of the game.
It's not
From-
amazing. It does a really good job with it. Like the storyline is interesting, and that's about the only innovative thing that I've found inside the game is the storyline. It's an interesting take on like vampires and the entire reason why you're there. So essentially, this entire island that you're on is like it was like set up as like a test subject island, right? And it's really confusing at the start because like they just drop you into it. But it's the problem that I have with it is that a lot of the actual storyline that you have is through it's like Fallout 76, and I know it's shocking, right? A fucking Bethesda title has like shitty fucking storytelling. It's all of the story is done predominantly through these things that are called I forget the fucking name, but they're like locks. I think I shot at one earlier. It was like a glowing vial, right? And essentially
Okay.
what it is it's like a memory. All
Morty's
right.
mind benders.
Yeah, it's like a memory
Yeah.
that when
Oh
you
my
when you
God.
get it, it sucks up into your mind, and then you hear the main storyline narrator, which is this chick.
What
And she
are they
kinda tells you
trying to
about it.
do?
I don't know,
That's
man.
So
It's
weird and
it's
random.
weird, dude. It really is.
It's
The rest of the story is done through like these weird like still image cutscenes, and I just want to really, I know I'm kind of all over the place. I want to kind of point
I
out
mean, the
that,
game's kind of all over the
yeah,
place.
very
so
true.
It's on brand.
I want to point out that I literally watched a review the other day for this game, and the only reason why the person gave it a poor rating was because it didn't have cutscenes. He said that the game was terrible because it didn't have actual cutscenes. That was the
I
only
mean,
reason
that
that he
could be a
gave.
factor, but
Yeah,
but
like
it does have
in the grand
cutscenes.
scheme of things,
It does have cutscenes. It just doesn't have moving video cutscenes. They're all done through like this still image kind of like
comic channel style.
storytelling.
almost. It's like
Actually,
try-
going back to Sly Cooper,
I'm trying-
Sly Cooper
yeah.
did that with like slides. and they
kind
were
of,
talking
yeah.
over the
It's
slides.
it's like a painting, right? Like it's a moving
A
moving
very
painting.
messy painting.
Yeah, it's like a moving painting, but like it's still a beautiful fucking cutscene. Like the art is still really impressive. Like I've enjoyed every one of the cutscenes that I've watched, and I've thought that it was a really good like artistic like representation of what I'm watching. But yeah, it's. I
Are
don't
you
know,
sure?
man.
Wait. Can I ask you a question? Are you sure they're actual cutscenes and they're not just like dropping frames? Like, 'cause I
No,
know the game
yes.
is
No, I'm
still only at
sure.
30 frames.
I mean, it's
I'm
possible.
watching the grass here too.
It is very possible. It is very
They
possible.
might
So,
actually be long cutscenes, but just dropped frames, so you're only getting snippets of them.
so to kind of get into it again, I'm sorry, I'm kind of all over the place, but it's a lot to cover. There's a lot bad and not a lot good. Some of the
I'm
good
seeing
things.
Pop in, off
Yeah,
in the distance.
it's
You guys are
rough.
playing on PC, correct?
I am playing on PC. I'm playing on at 1080. I am playing at 140 FPS, I believe, and it
Gotcha.
still looks rough. Now, one thing, and again, I will say this: the pixelation is not the game. That's YouTube's shitty encoding. So
Okay.
don't give it a really harsh rating because of the pixelation. I don't know what the fuck happened. It doesn't look this bad in game. It does look bad, but it doesn't look this bad in game. I lost my train of thought. So yeah, essentially it's a looter shooter. It has instances of storyline in it. I don't really feel like the storyline is going to be a very long storyline from what I understand and from what I've been reading. There's not a lot to it. The characters, there's 4 characters. Each of them have individual like skill sets and individual abilities. I'm personally playing
Is that
Jacob right now.
trampoline thing? That,
Yeah. Yep,
Yeah,
that
I
was
think
one of
so.
the she's like a psychic. I can't remember her name. I think it's like
it looks
Leslie.
so much cooler in the trailer.
It does, yeah.
And
I think
then
her
in-game
name
it's just
is
like
I think her name is Leslie. Her ability is that she has like this weird like umbrella like psychic
like
umbrella
Mary
that like
Poppins.
yeah, that like blocks things, but then again it doesn't. Like my friend that was playing it was like, yeah, I mean I'm blocking stuff. I have my umbrella up, but I'm still getting hit. I don't really know why. And then her thing is like her ultimate is like she summons her vampire ex-boyfriend.
interesting.
That's her
Okay.
ultimate. So, you know, it is what it is. I played Jacob. Jacob I find is a little bit more impressive. He has like this crow or this raven. It's like a ghost raven or like a spirit raven. And you send that raven forward, and as it flies through the air, it like highlights enemies around it and such. His secondary ability is like a stealth ability, and then his ultimate is like he summons this like ghost sniper that you can just shoot people without having to worry about ammunition for a short amount of time. It does a shit ton of damage. So that's his storyline is he's kind of like this PMC that came to the island and then was trying to get off of it because reasons, I guess. Didn't really get that far. The other guys, there's 2 more characters. One of them's like a writer. I don't know what the fuck his abilities are because I didn't really want to play a writer in a vampire killing game. And the other one's like like an inventor, and she has like this robot that follows her around and it like shakes its ass and taunts people. I don't know. It's weird. I don't get it. Whatever.
Okay. She just shakes her ass and distracts
Yeah,
all the vampires.
yeah. The
like-
robot shakes its ass and then distracts all the vampires and all the shit, and
Yeah.
they come after it. I can see why. You know, it is what it
Right, I
is,
mean,
but it's an
they see
interesting
the full
game.
moon and they're like, oh my god.
I don't get what they were going for. I do agree with a lot of people in stating that I don't think that It's a great game. I don't think it's a terrible game. I will say that. A lot of people have been lambasting it and saying that it's the worst game to come out in 2023 so far, or it's
I
the
mean,
worst
based on review
the
scores,
the worst game to
as
come
far as
out.
AAA games go, it is that mark so far.
I don't know about that. I personally feel like EA's Star Wars Survivor was a worse off situation.
I
Granted,
mean,
the storyline maybe
so I'll
not.
give you that.
Like the actual like gameplay and the storyline maybe not, but like the biggest thing with this is like a lot of people have said that it's unplayable, and it's not. It is very playable. It's an enjoyable. I enjoyed the time that I played with it. I didn't really find any situations where it was like game breaking bugs. I don't think I ran into really any bugs so far, other than like when I first loaded it. I had some situation where like it kept resizing the game to like 4K on a 1080p screen,
Yeah.
and it wouldn't let my mouse go past halfway on the screen.
Weird.
So
Mm,
it's just weird shit like
weird.
that. Like very strange things like that would pop up. But Sin saying that the game direction feels like it was changed multiple times. I agree with that. This is Sin's kind of personal things. He says also the world is pretty but also empty. I don't know if I agree with that. The world itself, I feel like no, I'll agree with that. Yeah, I will agree with that because like uh when you're moving between like mission points, there's not a lot going on. Like there's really like it's empty
Right.
streets.
It's a lot of empty.
It's a
I'm
lot
seeing
of
a ton of
emptiness.
pop
Yeah.
into.
Yeah. So I'll agree with that. I will definitely agree with that. I don't think that there was anything else that Sin really had. You guys will have to cover whatever Sin threw in the Discord, please.
He's saying that it's not as bad as reviewers are saying.
Yeah.
But also not worth the $70.
No, 100%. Do not do. Okay. We talked about this a little bit like when we were kind of discussing the show, right? One of the reviews was like the reason why he gave it a bad review, or not the reason, but like one of the reasons that he gave it a bad review was he was like, well, if you look at the Steam player base, there's only like 4,000 people playing the game. Yeah, it's on fucking Game Pass. Why would you purchase
Yeah.
it? Like there's
And
no,
also he's
Yeah.
looking only at the Steam
he's only
charts,
looking at
like,
the Steam charts, but
that's
it's
not
one
including
it's one of those
consoles and whatnot.
it's just one of those things where I'm like, yeah, it's on Game Pass. Like the reason Game Pass is such a great deal is because you have games like this that release. You can go and pay $10. You get a huge, library of games. You can try the game out, and if you don't like it, you're only out $10. And
Yeah.
even then,
Go play
like
another game.
go play another
there
game.
and let you murder
Yeah.
it.
That vampire did just stand there and let me murder it. The AI is rough. Like 100%.
So-
The AI is rough.
What I am going to say is, from everything I've watched of you playing it here, it's kind of confirmed what I've heard echoed from a few different reviewers and other people that I've seen playing it. It feels like it's from the 360 PS3 era. Like
I was
it
gonna say
honestly,
that.
I see
looks
it.
very similar to Borderlands 1
I can see
in
it.
both
Yeah.
the AI, how the world is built up. Like it's got that Borderlands 1 vibe to it, which Borderlands 1 was a great game back
It was.
in the day.
Yeah.
But
No, I can definitely agree with that. It definitely doesn't feel like a current gen.
especially not the first game that Xbox is putting out that is solely on the next generation. Like this isn't on the previous generation system.
Is it
correct?
not? I thought it was.
I thought this was
Is
the
it
first
not?
game that they put out that's exclusively new gen.
Oh,
Let me
I can't do that. My
double
bad. Yeah, one of you
check
guys
it,
gonna have to
though.
check it out because otherwise,
Redfall
Uh,
is only available on X and Series S.
interesting.
Series X and Series
Wow.
S and Xbox Cloud. So this is the first exclusively next gen game that they put
not
out.
a,
And
not a great start.
that's the biggest concern that I have with it.
Yeah.
Is this is not a good showcase of next generation tech from Xbox
No.
as far as their first party titles go.
Because I was gonna say the same thing. Is like this looks like an old, like dated game, and this brought me back to the times that we talked about that one game that we played, Shatterline, where Sid was like, was pounding it in that game looked like an old like PlayStation game. I'm like,
Yeah.
This to me gives me that feeling more than that game did.
I
Yeah.
I can agree with that. That like I think that's I think
It's
rightfully
I don't know.
so.
frustrating.
It's
Especially, and I know
Oh, the
we've talked about the frame
God.
rate thing not being that big of an issue, the 38 frames per second on console,
I
but the fact that they cut the corners on that with release, like that was one of the corner cutting
that
points. Is I think more telling than it being 30 frames per second in general. Like, yes, 30 playing a game in 30 frames per second, if it's a stable 30 frames per second, not that big of a fucking deal in all honesty.
so
But the fact that they
sp-
cut the
sp-
corners there,
I don't know.
speaking of bugs, I don't know if you noticed that I was looking down to the ground
I
and
s-
I was like, what the fuck is this thing? That's my partner's clip or magazine. That's
nice.
for some reason it just when you reload your magazine just floats in the air. I don't know why.
Nice.
I don't
that's
know
like
why.
old Rainbow Six Siege.
Yeah.
I don't know though.
weird.
To me the frame thing is bigger to me. I don't know if it's I
Well,
think it's
gee, I
just a
wish you would
personal
have
thing.
spoke up about that in the podcast chat when I was getting
So
absolutely
Bro,
eviscerated.
so
sorry
my
that I'm a
biggest
busy
thing right
man.
there. So my biggest thing right there. Okay, my biggest thing right there is that the only I would argue that the only reason why the frames thing is a big issue for you is because you are as a PC player are used to having
Well,
above 60 frames a
exactly.
second.
And anything below 60 frames now gives me motion
Yeah,
sickness.
100%.
So
I completely agree
it's
with that.
it's
Yeah.
more of a personal thing now, but now that's why it's a bigger
But
thing to me.
one thing that I will point out is and that I think I posted in the podcast chat a couple like a week or two ago was like the one thing you got to remember, especially for consoles, which again, this game on PC is 60 plus. You can run it without it's not locked to
Right,
30.
it's
It's
unlocked,
just
yeah.
it's just
Yeah.
on consoles. One thing that I had pointed out the other day was like somebody brought it up that like if you really look at it, 60 frames a second on a console has only been the standard for about 2 years.
Right.
Three, I think,
Yeah.
since
I
2018.
I would at least argue this
So
generation, which
5. I'm sorry.
2018,
Yeah, generation. I'm sorry,
It's
5 years.
2023.
My bad. The biggest thing that he brought up in that thing is like, yes, that's it's a big issue for current generation games, right? But like the biggest thing is like a lot of people aren't even out of the old generation. Like they're still trying to get into the new generation in some instances
Yeah.
because of a lack of what's the word I'm looking for?
the economy, it makes
Yeah,
it hard to
yeah.
warrant, especially
So
with how few games
I
both of the major consoles have actually put out.
Yeah.
Like Xbox has put out 4 exclusive games that you can't get anywhere else for its system. Sony's put out like maybe 7. Like there's not a huge catalog for either system
Yeah.
in the 5-year time that these systems have been out.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's my only thing. I will step back and say that I kind of do agree with you that yes, and I'm starting to look at it as like, well, if I had purchased this or if I was playing this on the console, would I be pissed that it was locked to 60 or to 30?
Especially with it being on your brand new shiny Xbox Series X or S. If it was if this was made with the prior generation in mind, I could give it some slack in that regard.
The
And then they patch it in later.
the only thing that I have to say about that is again, would I personally like on this brand new Xbox 360 or Xbox whatever Xbox One or whatever they're at fucking right now? Obviously, you can tell I don't play on fucking consoles.
Series X.
would I even know? Right? Like me being a PC player, yes. When I have a game that's not at 60 frames a second,
Right,
I'm
we
like
know.
Scruffy. I can
Yeah.
see it, and it makes me sick.
Yeah.
It makes me motion sick. 100%. I will agree with that. But if I have never played anything like if this was my first generation on a new console, that 60 FPS is the go-to and like the baseline, right? Would I even fucking notice? I doubt it.
I don't know, man. I think you're selling console gamers a little bit short. Every game that's come out, at least with this generation, has for the most part had a performance and a quality mode, and I don't know anybody unless they're playing on a 4K TV that really takes full advantage of the quality mode. They would prefer the performance 60 mode over the quality 30.
I don't know.
That's just from my experience talking to a few like me, my cousin, and a few other people I know play exclusively on consoles for the most part these days. So
I don't know.
It's my taste, but I also play on PC, so the frame rate different. It's harder to.
That's
jump
what I'm
between
trying
the
to say.
two.
That's
Yeah.
what I'm trying to say though. Is like if you've never played on PC, if your only experience
It wouldn't
has
be that
been
big a
has
deal.
been a console
right.
that's
Yeah,
stuck at
yeah,
30
yeah.
FPS, would it
Because
be
for the
that big of a
longest
fucking deal?
time
You know,
on
I had to make the
PC,
mental gymnastics for that, but I
Yeah.
see where you're
Yeah,
pointing.
so-
to.
so-
for the longest time on PC, you know, it's like jumping from a 60 hertz monitor to a
Yeah.
144.
100%.
You don't
Holy shit,
notice
that was
it.
You-
the day
un-
though.
you notice
Exa-
like the
exactly.
upgrade.
You notice it when
100%.
you go
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
When you go back, you're like, this ain't right. You know, something's off. You can
Yeah.
feel it. You know.
So that's
yeah,
that's
if
my
that's
that
all
was
they
my
ever
only
knew,
point was like
won't make a difference.
if and I again I do agree with you that like being stuck at 30 they should have like delayed it. It should have been delayed
yeah.
to a point that they could release it at 60 because honestly I agree with you. It's unacceptable as a person that has played games at 60 frames a second for the
Yeah.
past.
Well, I think the biggest thing
forever,
is like
essentially.
it's the first game that is on the new gen consoles. I think
Yeah.
that's the biggest thing. You know, is like if this is the
Exclusively
first
on the new
game
gen consoles.
that is exclusively on the new gen consoles, it should be a standard 60 FPS game.
For
It
sure,
shouldn't be locked
yeah.
at 30.
But
I think that's
on
the
the
biggest
other
thing.
on the other
I-
hand, I've heard a lot of people as well saying that like, oh, they should have just delayed it. I don't think that this game would have even delayed released in a better state.
And
to be
Phil
completely
Spencer
honest.
agrees with that
Yeah.
sentiment too,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
we'll
So,
get into that here
We'll
later.
we'll get into that. We'll
one
move
one
into that here in
last
a
thing I
second.
want to bring up with this in the frames per second argument is holy shit, that vampire was just chilling there.
Yeah. What the thing with this, like,
That completely took me out of my
one-
thought process. He was just chilling there.
no, it took me out of my thought process too, 100%, because that fucking vampire wasn't there when we came into that room originally.
No, yeah, that's funny.
Back to the Xboxes. The reason that I've heard from people that have like looked into it or like talked to Xbox like developers, the issues that people are like they're having is the Series S specifically. It is such a underpowered console
Makes sense
compared to
yeah.
what the Series X is. That
The Series
they're
Series
basically
S is
having
their
the same
baseline, right?
trouble. Yeah, the Series S is their based
It's like
on the Series
their
X.
bare bones model.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's the diskless drive, all digital version. But it's underpowered to the point where they basically have conned themselves almost into a prior generation issue where
Yeah.
it's not quite as bad as like the Xbox One as far as tech goes, but it's still a big enough jump between the two that they're having to develop for that system and then port it up. Like it has to at least run on that.
Makes sense. Yeah. I think that I think the small or like the Xbox Series S or whatever it is, the baseline, I really think they should just get rid of it. I mean I understand why they have it. It's for like people that aren't able to afford like a full
I mean, even Sony's thinking about getting rid of their disc.
it just makes
Yeah.
no sense. Like it's like, okay, I understand you can't you know, if you can't get the money together for it, it's a way of getting people into the door of console gaming, right? But the amount of issues that you're having with developing for those less I shouldn't say less like superior. I should say like no, I'm going to say less superior. Well, 100%. Like it is. It's not as superior as the baseline. We have seen that. The amount of headache that they have with actually developing for it, like you could just get rid of it. Just okay, we don't offer it anymore. I'm sorry. Like it just makes no sense to
But
me.
even then, you still have to get the games to support it because it's already been thrown out there. You can't
Yeah.
just like stop like cut support for it.
Right.
Very true.
So-
Yeah, like that. I think that in the next, you know, the next console
When
version-
the PS Pros and the Xbox Series S Super come out, I think they will exclusively do like.
you think that's
one
going to
version
happen
for
though?
those.
Like I mean, obviously the PlayStation.
Sony's
will.
already.
Sony
Sony's
was.
already like
Ob-
not
obviously
announced,
the
but there's been leaks for.
yeah,
their-
obviously the PlayStation.
Yeah.
Will. I don't know. With how Microsoft has been going recently, I'm not entirely sure that they're going to necessarily continue to fight in the console market. We're going to talk about that here in a
Yeah.
minute as well. But it really seems like they don't care. They're just like, hey, we're gonna make it so you can play our games on a fucking TV. Have fun.
Yeah.
Which now that I say that, I'm curious how this runs on a Samsung TV.
it's a weird place, man, because putting like this game is obviously unfinished. It's obviously not where Xbox wants it. It's not where Arcane wants it. It's not where Bethesda would want it. Given Arcane's track record, they
Oh
had
no,
Deathloop,
I
they
think
had
Bethesda's
Prey.
completely okay with it. I think Arcane's not.
Oh, yeah.
I think Bethesda's like, yeah, this is a great
Bethesda
game,
doesn't
man.
care.
Oh, what the fuck are you talking about? This works better than fucking Fallout 76. This is amazing.
But given Prey, Deathloop, and Dishonored, this feels like a disservice.
It's
to
rough.
Arcane.
Yeah, it's
And
not it's
Yeah.
not a good look.
Yeah.
So
And
That's
we can get
tough,
into
man.
Phil Spencer's take on it too, because that's kind of
yeah,
a nice
we will.
segue.
So we'll
into
move into that. So this
Xbox.
is obviously again, like I said, Redfall. It's on Xbox and PC only, I believe. It's not on PlayStation. I'm pretty sure this was an Xbox only, a Microsoft only. $70 if you want to purchase it. I don't see why you would. Go and purchase the
get the Game
Xbox Game
Pass,
Pass and try it out
please.
there. Please don't buy this game until they fix it. Like,
If they fix it.
I-
And I
I'm-
hope they
I'm-
do fix it. I hope
honestly-
they don't abandon it.
honestly, I am pretty confident in them fixing it. I
They
don't
probably will.
I don't know if it'll be like, if it'll ever be up to everybody's standards as to what they were expecting out of it, but I think that we're running into the same issue of like Cyberpunk, where like everybody's expectations for the game got way too hyped for it, and it didn't. It'll never meet it.
Sin is thinking that it'll get a grounded comeback.
I don't know about that, man.
I don't know if
The
it'll get a
bare
grounded
bones of the
comeback.
game seem like they're too tainted to get that level.
Did Grounded ever go away? I'm confused. I thought Grounded was pretty on point. Like I'm pretty sure people love Grounded.
It launched. No, speaking of like their launch into like the development now. Like I thought it had a rough launch.
I didn't know it had a rough launch. I didn't think it did.
No,
But
I
whatever.
think the
Either way.
skeleton bones are
Yeah.
not there,
I'm,
in my opinion.
yeah,
But we'll see.
I'm thinking I'm gonna pass up on this one honestly, and I don't think I'll be missing much, to be
Yeah.
honest.
I don't think you will
I
either.
don't know.
So
Yeah.
that's Redfall. We're going to continue talking about Redfall and Phil Spencer though. So sit right in, enjoy the ride. It's on to the segment about Xbox and only Xbox for the next fucking hour. Man, we got to move, guys. We got an
gotta go.
hour. So yeah, Phil Spencer came out today. Said he was very disappointed in the negative reaction that Redfall had. He took full responsibility for it. We had a bit of a heated conversation in the podcast chat today about it. I don't think we're gonna get heated,
y'all
but
are cracking me up.
Nah.
so essentially he had a I didn't watch the full interview. It was an interview with some kind of
I've seen the Spark Notes. It was like a 30-minute interview. I've seen maybe like 3 or 4 different segments from it.
that's the same with me.
Wow.
I've only seen like 3 or 4 different segments out of it. So
Yeah.
he had an interview with I think it's Xcast. You know what? Let's pause. Phil, if you're listening, bro, which I don't know why you wouldn't be, because our podcast is the best fucking podcast in the world. You know, hit me up. Let's get you on. We can talk about this. You know, we got ideas. We got ideas. You know. Anyways, so he went on there. He had he expressed his disappointment at the player base's reception for Arcane's Vampire Hunter game. For the most part, and forgive me if I'm forgetting things. I have a lot to read right now, or I had a lot to read. He said that the critical response wasn't what he wanted. They weren't really intending, not intending. They weren't expecting to get a fucking 60 on Metacritic. Obviously, I don't think any gaming company expects to have
low
No.
60s.
that low of a Metacritic
Now,
rating.
now it's lower.
No.
It's
Go ahead.
I don't know what they were expecting though, because Phil Spencer has played this game. He played 37 minutes of it and then stopped for whatever reason that was.
well, we know what that reason was.
I'm
But
personally curious about
Their
it, man.
quality
Like,
assurance is what I think was brought into question more so than
Yeah.
anything.
for sure.
Them being like bringing Bethesda and Arcane Studios simultaneously under the Xbox umbrella. Where is that quality assurance? Because it doesn't seem to be there. And
Yeah.
I don't know who is pushing this game to release in the state it was in. whether it was Bethesda
It was
or
Bethesda, I
Probably
think.
Xbox
Bethesda.
It
overall.
was
was.
Bethesda.
I would personally say it was probably Bethesda. I don't know how
Yeah.
much. I don't know how much because the biggest thing with and
Just
I
telling
know
and how they push their other games
well
too. They're
I
like,
I
yeah,
know
it looks good. Let's
I-
push it.
I know where you're going with this because it's one of those things where it's like, well, if Xbox and Microsoft had a hand in this, why didn't they stop it? The thing with Xbox and Bethesda is they when they first acquired Bethesda, it was a hands-off approach. That was their biggest thing,
Right.
and I think that he covers that in this
He does, and I was going to bring that
in
up.
this interview. So when they first acquired it, that was the biggest thing with Bethesda was like they were like, hey, you're gonna have full freedom. You guys do whatever the fuck you need to do to get your video games out. And say what you want about that. It's probably a bad choice with Bethesda given their fucking track record. I
Yeah,
applaud them though for allowing it. I just wish I'm with you kind of. I wish that they would have had a little bit more control, at least on the quality side of
Yeah.
things. Because again,
Now-
like you
The
said,
quality.
this is like the first big title that is an Xbox exclusive.
Well, legit.
know?
Is it the
From
first
Bethesda,
for
from
Xbox exclusive?
Bethesda,
Yeah.
from Bethesda
Yeah.
yeah, on the next generation.
on the next
system.
generation console.
And,
Yes,
I know I made a big deal in the podcast chat about not bringing competitors into it, but hear me out here. This echoes very similarly to the Forspoken.
I was
Oh,
thinking
you
the same
motherfucker.
thing. I was thinking the same thing.
No, we had when we were talking about Forspoken before,
Yeah.
we said Square Enix was way too hands off in that game's
Yeah.
development, and that's the only
Yeah.
reason that Luminous Studios pushed out a title
for
the
sure.
way that it did was because Sony was pushing them to release it. Square Enix was way too hands off on the entire development, and they cornered themselves. Well, we
Yeah.
have to put it out. Big Daddy Sony that's paying our bills once a game, and we need to deliver. Well,
Mm-hmm.
we know what we got with that. This
For
seems
sure.
like a very similar situation, only it's like Xbox, the hands off ones, and Bethesda's like,
Yeah,
we need
Bethesda
to,
was the
we
one
need to get it
pushing.
out there, guys.
Yeah.
Todd Howard needs to go on another vacation.
Yeah,
I was
it's
thinking that
it's
same
it's
thing.
very interesting. So one of the comments he made is we do mock reviews for every game that we launch, and this was double digits lower than we were expecting, essentially. That's one of the disappointing things. We would never strive to launch a game that we thought was going to review in the low 60s, and that's part of their goals, essentially. Which I commend them on.
Yeah.
That's
I-
an
it's not part of
interesting
their
way of
rules, yes.
going about it.
I commend them on that at least. I just wish that they would have pushed for it a little bit harder. I guess it's definitely one of those
Yeah.
one of those interesting ones. Obviously, with the title locked at 30 FPS is an oddity. We already talked about that. It's very strange, man.
The
I
fact that it's
think-
getting patched. I've
Yeah.
never heard of a game.
I've
getting
never heard of
a
it getting patched
Right.
for 60 for sure.
A frame lock.
The,
Yeah.
the
I've-
only time that I've even seen that happen was from PS4 to PS5, where they did the update patches to uprate the.
I was
Those were
about
games
to
that have
say.
been out for forever.
Yeah.
That's what I was about to say. I've heard of patches for them like upgrading it for quality, like updating like the HD texture packs and everything like that. But I don't think I've ever heard of a game updating for 60 FPS. That's weird. That's just
Very weird.
strange. I don't understand it. I will commend Phil Spencer on coming out and biting the bullet though.
That's
And-
big
and that's-
balls. I-
that we
100%.
talked about that today. Like
Jim Ryan wouldn't be caught dead.
I wasn't gonna say it, sir.
I'm trying to be copacetic here, okay?
So that was one of the things that I said. Is like Jim Ryan would never be caught dead coming out and saying that. You would never see like an EA president coming out and being like, "Hey, sorry about the fucking state of Jedi Survivor,
Fallen
right?
Order.
Fallen Order, or Jedi
Or, yeah,
Survivor, or whatever.
Survivor. Yeah.
You'd never see like a Nintendo boss coming out and being like, "Sorry, we fucked up on that last game." I
Reggie
will
would
give.
have, but Nintendo doesn't drop the ball that much.
Yeah.
I was
No,
gonna
that is
say,
very
Nintendo
true.
does Nintendo drop the
Reggie
ball?
would have 100% been out there
That was very true.
if something messed up.
That's very true. But I gotta commend Phil on coming out and just being like, "Yeah, we fucked up. That's my bad. I take personal responsibility for it." Because that's
good guy, Phil.
you will never hear another president from a company coming out and being like, "Yeah, we fucked up. My bad."
My question to you: do you think that Microsoft, in a way, and I hate to bring this up this way, do you think they're like making Phil the sacrificial lamb for both this and the Xbox merger issues?
I don't think so.
Okay. Or do you think he's doing this
I think
of
he's
like
doing it
it's
of,
my
I
of
think
his
he's
own
doing this
accord.
of
responsibility?
his own
Yeah,
free will.
I think
Yeah.
he's doing it
Okay.
because that we've seen Phil come out and do this kind of shit before, where he comes out and he's just like, yeah, we this is what we want from Xbox, and we're not ashamed to say it. Like he's been very vocal recently. Then that's the only reason why I say I don't think it's anything to do with Xbox or Microsoft throwing him under the bus, essentially,
Okay.
right?
That's good because like I was trying to say, I have respect for Phil. I think he's a little bit out there. Like I think he's ambitious with his thought process and it might be too ambitious for what he's able to do. But I do genuinely agree with you guys. He's got gamers at the forefront of his mind when he comes to a lot of the decisions he
For
makes
Oh
on
sure.
yeah.
Yeah,
Xbox.
for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Moving on with more Microsoft news and Xbox news. I still in the Redfall the Redfall situation. We got a long conversation about Xbox and Redfall tonight,
Yeah,
guys.
that's why this is
Uh,
literally titled All About
Yeah,
Xbox. I mean,
all about Xbox. Phil Spencer during that interview also said that he feels like they have done a better job with Starfield's development than they did with Redfall, which
I sure hope so, man.
I
I
really hope so. I really do.
yeah,
I really do. So he offered
I
assurances to fans that Starfield will hopefully launch in a better state. I like how he added the hopefully because he's not entirely sure about Bethesda.
yeah. That's
Yeah.
that's the part of him that's saving his own ass. Like I said, hopefully, like I wasn't totally
So
guaranteeing it.
he's saying that hopefully it'll launch in a better state than this week's Xbox exclusive Redfall, claiming that the publisher did a better job in terms of uh, assisting Starfield in terms of their developments. Discussing the
good.
development of Redfall on a new episode, Spencer explained how acquisitions of the studio is the midway through development of the game. So I think Redfall, when they acquired Bethesda, it was already halfway through development, regardless of how you look at that. Which
Yeah, and
Right.
honestly, that probably coincides with why they had an
why they
identity
changed
crisis.
it. Yeah.
Yeah,
It is very
yeah,
possible. He says when we acquire studios, there are games that are in development, and then there's things that are either really early in development or not even conceived yet. I think we need to improve in engaging with games that are midway through production when they can become part of Xbox, or when they become
Yeah.
part of Xbox.
Especially since these are going to be like the flagship games. Like you need to show your investors, you
For
need to
sure.
show your
Oh, yeah.
fans that this is what you can expect from our products with these acquisitions. You
Yep.
need to earn it. Like you can pay for it all day, but you need to earn it.
Yep. So he says we did not do a good job early on in engaging Arcane Austin to really help them understand what it meant to be part of Xbox and part of a first party, and use some of our internal resources to help them move along that journey even faster. We basically just left them to work on the game essentially, which again, like Scruffy said, it's very apparent. Like that is
Yeah.
very apparent going through that. Spencer says, according to Xbox, did a better job with Starfield because the game was earlier on in production when Bethesda joined Microsoft. Redfall was further on along in development, and so assistance was more difficult. Nonetheless, Spencer has said that we should have been there for Arcane Studios director Harvey Smith and the team earlier. I think that that's on us, which I agree. That is entirely on Xbox.
Yeah.
Even if it's
that's awesome that they're
even if
owning
it's a
up to that,
game, yeah, even if it's a game that's like
Honestly.
almost done, like a month out from development, if you acquire that studio, your immediate priority should be: do you
Yeah, I
fucking
mean,
need anything? Like
you're
let's look at
responsible
this.
now for that.
Like yeah, that's the
studio.
biggest thing is like it's now under the umbrella of Xbox to basically state that Xbox, we want Xbox to be a certain way when it comes to like what games, because they've said this before. We want Xbox to be represented in this certain way when it comes to games,
Yeah.
obviously, right? They don't want to release trash. They should, like, if they acquire a studio, it should immediately be, hey, that new game that's coming out in a month, we want to see it now.
Exactly.
I want to see it.
When they acquire a new studio, the game that the games that studio puts out is now representing their face.
Yeah.
And
So like
speaking directly
they
with
should.
Yeah, and speaking directly with Arcane, the last game that they were working on before the acquisition, and it might have actually I think it released just as the acquisition was going through,
Deathloop,
was
was it?
Deathloop,
Yeah.
and that
Yes.
was a timed PlayStation exclusive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that is, I don't know how it is on the development end of things, but Sony is the exact opposite approach, at least it seems so far with its acquisitions, where they are like extremely up the ass of every developer that they purchase with their game quality. Like, I don't know if you guys have noticed, a lot of Sony games kind of have like a sameness to
Yeah.
them in a
Yeah.
way.
I've noticed. Yeah.
There's definitely a Sony hand. I think they're extremely heavy-handed with how much control they have over their studios, with the
I don't doubt
exception
it.
of Bungie.
I really don't doubt it. Yeah. Speaking of Sony, Phil Spencer, again, we're still talking about Xbox, guys. Phil Spencer says Xbox is not currently out or not currently trying to be in the console war. So they're not trying to out console Sony or Nintendo. And great games, they're just trying to make basically great games for their
I
console.
think they've been trying to make
That's
that
what they're
apparent
focusing
for
on.
years now.
Yeah.
know?
It's been a we've talked about it
That's
multiple
been their
times.
focus.
We've talked
Yeah.
about it multiple times on the podcast, especially in the recent months, where it's like
Yeah.
Yeah.
it almost feels like Xbox is just like, yeah, you know, we're okay with, you know, yeah, Sony's doing great, like great, cool. They got a better console, awesome.
Especially
We don't care.
especially with this merger, like with this merger that they've been trying to go for, like they've been making apparent like they want to do it for the consumer. They want to even include Sony in it, and Sony's just still steadfast on
Yeah.
no, that ain't happening, bro. No.
So
Yeah.
Spencer,
I actually watched this segment like pretty. This is probably the longest segment that I
well,
watched.
go ahead and cover it because I did not watch this all that in depth.
Yeah, so this segment, he was saying that they are not trying to compete with the PlayStation and Nintendo consoles, although they do still value Xbox consoles as a core
course.
part of the
Yeah.
Xbox business model.
They're
not gonna
never
be
going to
abandoned
give up.
anytime
They're never going to
soon.
give it up. Obviously, the one thing that I laugh at is when people are like, "Well, you know, if Sony beats Xbox in the console, Xbox is just going to vanish." That's never going to happen. Like it's they're
Right.
just, Xbox is not going to vanish. Like Xbox is going to
No.
just continuously be a thing in the background.
Right. He went on to say that while consoles aren't their primary thing, what they are wanting to get done out, like the vision, and this is whether the Activision deal goes through or not, is they're wanting to make it so that there's one big Xbox
Yeah.
first party title per quarter. So 4 games per year from Xbox first party
Interesting.
games
Mm.
is
Okay.
the aim. And he says we're getting close to getting there. He also when talking about the consoles and why they're kind of opting out of that mindset with Xbox moving forward, is he specifically blames it on them losing the Xbox One era, the Xbox One PS4 era of gaming. He said that was the worst generation for them to lose because the PS3 era and Xbox 360 era, they won wholeheartedly, but that was still a very much disc-based generation. PS4 and Xbox One was where people started building digital libraries, and he fully admits that them losing that generation as hard as they did, people had already built up their digital libraries on PlayStation because of that, and they're in it for the long haul at that period. They would be abandoning a massive collection of games that they gathered over the PS3 era because if they were to switch to Xbox, which is making it even less likely for them to be able to steal or not steal, but convince people to come over from the PlayStation
Yeah.
platform. He
That's-
recognizes
I
that's
didn't
not
even
going to
think
happen.
about that.
That's one thing that
yeah.
he says right here as well. This was another one that we were going to talk about. Is like he says that there's no world where Starfield is so good that people sell their PS5s and move to Xbox. And I agree with him.
And it echoes that point.
Yeah,
People
exactly.
have already established themselves.
I completely
in that
agree with him.
niche.
Yeah, there's no way like there's obviously it's a Bethesda game. There's no way it's going to be good enough to begin with that people are going to sell. But like even if it released in the most top notch way, right? Even if there
Right.
was zero bugs, if there was zero issues, which we all know that's not going to happen. There's no way that somebody that is a diehard fucking Sony fan is going to be like, man, okay, I'm done with Sony.
Right.
There's no
Right.
way. There's
Yeah.
absolutely no fucking way.
Which-
That's just
Which makes
This is
sense
crazy
why they
talk.
are trying to be a supplementary factor towards other consoles.
Yeah.
They recognize that if they want to continue to exist in this landscape, they need to make themselves a supplementary factor to other
Which
developers, and
I
which
go ahead.
only benefits everybody.
Yeah.
It only benefits gamers to have that kind of a mindset.
Which
To m-
just kind of pushes forward like this statement that he said right here. It we've talked about like Sony. If there was ever a way that Xbox could win over Sony, me personally, I feel that Sony would just go the routes of like Nintendo and just kind of do their own thing in the corner, right? I think it's the same
Right.
thing with Xbox, and Phil says the same thing. He says that right here, the console is a core of the Xbox brand, but he also insisted that we have to go off and do our own thing with Game Pass, with the stuff we do with Xbox Cloud Gaming and the way we build our games. There's not a win for Xbox in staying in the wake of somebody else, right? So like if they finally do get beat out in this quote unquote console war that they've been waging with Sony for years, they'll just go about doing their own thing, which I think that is what they've been setting themselves up for the last year or two,
right.
honestly.
I
And
mean, with
it's
the
that's
Xbox Game
interesting.
Pass and all
Yeah,
that stuff in the cloud,
that's
like I think that's what they're setting themselves up
that's
for.
interesting to say. I'm almost wondering if they're finally just they're done with it. They're just like we're
I
not.
think they're bowing out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I genuinely think they are, because Game Pass is the only effective way that they have with fighting that digital library issue that they have against PlayStation.
Mhm.
The only way that they can get people to come to an Xbox platform, whether it's PC or the consoles, is to basically give them a digital library to make up for what they would be abandoning
Mhm.
on the other side,
Yeah.
or supplement what they already have on the other side if they don't want to swap completely.
Right.
Yeah.
And at the I wish Sony wasn't the way they were, because I do think that there's a future potentially where Game Pass could end up on a Sony console. As weird as that sounds,
No,
I don't know.
I kind of understand that because I've
You
had that
understand
thought
where I'm coming
before.
from? I think it's a
Yeah,
long shot in a pipe
it's a
dream,
long shot, and
but
it's not. We're not. I don't even think we're necessarily saying like legit the Xbox Game Pass, but I think they can do something where they have like a like a merge or something, like some sort of like collaboration. I don't know, but I see where you're coming from.
Yeah. It's possible.
or go publisher only, like what
Or go
Sim's
publisher
saying.
only. Yeah. One that's
Mhm.
what I think will happen eventually is they'll
Yeah,
just
that's
be like if
plausible.
we'll just go down the route of a publisher and you can play our games wherever you're going to play our games.
Right.
Yeah,
That's
I
just
think
in
the
the end.
biggest thing holding them back right now is somewhat to do with Redfall and some of the other titles that they've released recently, where the product that they're putting out towards Game Pass isn't enticing enough for people to give it a solid try. They've struggled recently with their launch titles. Halo wasn't received the best.
hmm
Um, Redfall not received the best. Minecraft Legends not being received the best, even though it looks fun to me.
This is a good
But
game, I thought.
it
I don't know.
it's
yeah,
just it's
I think
niche.
it's the
I think.
biggest thing with that is that it's just not it's not what when you think of
It's
Minecraft you don't think of a fucking
yeah.
RTS
it's
adventure
yeah.
game.
But even still, it's hitting low 70s in reviews, just where
Yeah.
Halo was. So
Yeah,
the biggest hit that they've had so far was Hi-Fi Rush, which came out of nowhere and
yeah,
shows
that was
that
the shadow
Bethesda
drop.
can produce good games.
Well, and the problem with Hi-Fi Rush as well is that like not a lot of people know about it because it just did come out of nowhere. Like it's a pretty big hidden gem. Like there's a lot of people that actually know
Yeah.
about it, but like in mainstream, you talk about Hi-Fi Rush and people don't know
It's one
what
of those
really.
games that people glance over on Game
Yeah.
Pass. They're like, okay, this is just a filler game,
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
knowing about it.
Exactly.
So they need to bring value to the Game Pass, and I
Funny
think
you
it's
should
getting-
mention that.
Yeah.
Funny you should mention that. Go ahead. Keep going. I didn't want to
I think
interrupt
it's
you.
getting to the point where Xbox fans are getting concerned that Game Pass itself is dropping the quality of Xbox products. I don't know if that's the case or not, but
I don't
it's
think that's
getting
the
to that
case.
worry.
point.
But I don't think it's. Yeah, I don't think that's the case.
I don't think that's the case. I think the case of like their quality.
Because the biggest
currently-
argument I've seen with Redfall was, oh, well, it's on Game Pass, so you're not wasting it. Well, that's not really an excuse for poor quality of a product.
True. Yeah, 100%. No, just because it's on Game Pass doesn't mean that it should be.
Overlooked.
It should get a it should get a free pass essentially. That it's
Yeah,
it's
because there's
quality
a
as
lot
well.
of great games on there.
Speaking though of possible games coming to Game Pass. UK regulators have blocked Microsoft's 64 or 69 billion deal with Activision again. I wanted to talk about this
Just when
last
we thought
week. Holy
it
shit, dude.
was going through.
Literally the day, if I remember correctly, it was the day that they felt, or they, what was it? It was initially voicing caution. No. I can't remember what I was right here. British regulators seem to be inclined towards the deal's approval before Wednesday's surprising announcement. Literally, they were about to announce that day. I'm pretty sure that Wednesday that it was a done deal essentially.
Yeah.
And they came out and were like, yeah, no, that's not going to happen. And it's not. It has nothing to do with the Sony thing either. That's the weirdest part.
Sony lost.
Sony lost 100%.
Big L.
Yeah. Sony's done.
What's that have to do with cloud, right?
It's cloud, yeah, 100%. Go ahead, Bill. I think that you brought this up the other week as well about
yeah.
Google.
So so they made the deal with the two biggest proponents against the Activision deal on the cloud gaming front was Nvidia and Google. Nvidia got their deal. They got the same deal everybody else got, 10 years of Call of Duty and Activision Blizzard titles going to Nvidia's cloud streaming platform. That was fine. I think Google did some underhanded something.
Oh, 100%.
It's the only thing that makes sense with this being like such a 180 as what it was. Because like you said, it was a done deal up until it wasn't.
I mean, they even had ads running in London for their Call of Duty, for their Microsoft or what was it, Activision Blizzard acquisition, dude. They had ads running. Well,
and the biggest the one thing that I wonder about is like, is this like a grudge thing for Google Stadia? Do you think?
Could be. I don't know.
Maybe, man. I mean, the hardware is dead, but Stadia is still something that they're developing in the background. So maybe they've got something coming out here soon that we don't know about.
That's legitimately the only thing that I can think of is that, like, I don't even think that they have anything in the works, right? Like, I don't think that they're miraculously, I can't fucking speak, miraculously going to come out tomorrow and be like, hey, Stadia is back, guys, just so you're aware. You know, no, that I don't think that's going to happen. I'm curious if this is a grudge thing and they blame Microsoft and Activision for the failure of Stadia.
Now, is this
well, not really Activision, just Microsoft. I'm sorry, because my Activision has nothing to do with the fucking cloud, but I'm curious if they blame Microsoft for the failure of Stadia.
Is this all what was it, speculation that like Google might have a hand in this, or is this like just rumors? Or
it's speculation, but they did announce that it was cloud gaming that was the reason for UK regulators blocking it. So
like what?
Put two and two together, you get four.
Yep.
Yeah, the only people that have their hands in cloud gaming is Nvidia and Google and maybe there's one other, but I can't remember.
Now here's the spicy. Sony not too long ago did announce that they are coming back into the handheld market with a cloud gaming handheld. We've talked about that on the podcast already.
That's true.
There's still a potential world out there where Sony was able to slice this on the cloud gaming aspect. I don't think that's the case.
That was one of the things with me as well. Was I'm almost curious if it was something to do like an underhand, but like a deal that Sony did. But I don't really see Sony having the money to grease those wheels, man.
Sony just slips a 20 across the table.
I don't see them. I don't see them having them. But you know,
does this
I look at it as this as well. Like Sony was able to keep that fight going with the CMA and the FTC, I think, or what was it in America? So no, it's not the FDA. I think it's the FTC.
FTC, I believe.
I think they were able to keep that entire fight going for months, and the only reason that I can think of is, again, some form of like underhandedness going on.
And I think the only reason that ultimately dropped too was because didn't they start an investigation in Sony and their exclusivity?
They started asking questions. Yeah, they started asking questions about the exclusivity. And Sony's
like, never mind, we're good.
Yep, 100%. Yeah, they started asking questions about like their exclusivity, their then paying for exclusivity and like deals and stuff like that. And then
I still want to see that.
I want to see it,
but I want to.
I want
I
to see
know,
that
I know.
paperwork for the when Xbox came out and basically said that they paid. I can't remember what gaming company it was, but they paid to have exclusive, like to pull it from Microsoft.
He- yeah,
Yeah, I know.
I can't remember
paid to
which
keep
company it
things
was. Yeah,
specifically off of Game
Yeah.
Pass.
yep. That's crazy. to me.
It was Square.
Was it Square?
It's
Yeah.
Was
it was
it?
Square. Yeah, that was the at least the most recent one was Square, which we know that Square's in Sony's back pocket. Sony basically owns Square without actually owning Square.
Yeah. So, Sin says that he thinks that Google's going to pull because they're pulling this because they're trying to keep Stadia alive. I agree with that. It's dead. It's not dying. Stadia is dead. It's been dead for a long time. I don't think that they're bringing it back. And he says that to trust that it's going to go through. I don't know, man.
I'm not so sure, man. Phil Spencer seems to be giving up
Yeah.
hope. In that interview, he said that they are now actively looking at moving Microsoft's business model forward without like Activision. Like they've
I'm
got
just-
two separate models going
I'm
forward.
just
one
curious.
without Activision completely.
I'm just curious if they do that, right? And Activision goes back. Like the smart move, if you're Activision, to me would just be okay. If we can't be purchased completely outright by Microsoft, we're just going to start basically cannibalizing our company and selling it to Microsoft, one piece at a time.
Right.
Or they could do what Square's doing with Sony and make it okay. You're not going to own us, but we're going to do nothing but exclusivity deals with you.
Yeah.
Right. Which that would be the worst case for Sony at that point.
I don't know.
I think if they started doing that.
I think that there's still fight in it. I think Microsoft is still wanting to push forward with it. Like Sin said,
I mean,
they're putting
it's stupid not to.
they're
Just
putting
give up at the first
legalization in it. Yeah,
roadblock, but
I don't think
Yeah.
that like they're too far in, right? Like they've been
Yeah, no,
fighting this for a year now almost. I think they're too far in.
this is going to be a long battle.
It's going to be a long
Yeah.
battle. Yeah.
This
so-
just elongated it by probably another 2 years, if not more.
If
in
not
all
more,
honesty,
100%. Yeah,
Yeah.
if not
Yeah.
more. But yeah, so
because they're going to have
So-
to wait until cloud gaming develops.
so
If
that
cloud
means you
gaming is the
guys-
big concern, they need to see the emerging tech, and that's
Yeah.
going to take a while
Yeah.
to develop.
That means everybody listening to this podcast has 2 more years of content,
Yeah, keep coming
guaranteed
back.
right here.
2 more. We're your number one stop for Microsoft Activision news, baby.
Yep.
So yeah, that's the surprisingly that's the end of our Microsoft talk. This has been my TED Talk. This has been my
Yeah.
TED Talk. Thank you for speaking though of long fights, long legal fights. Epic's antitrust case against Apple is dead in the water now. I don't know if you guys remember this. We talked about
Mhm.
Epic's fight with Apple. I want to say this is like 2 years ago. It started
maybe
maybe a year and a half. I know it's been longer
Yeah.
than a year,
Yeah.
but it's been a while, man. And we like this Apple versus Epic case used to be our Activision case, like our Activision talks. Like we
Yeah, it's
were
true.
reporting on this like bi-weekly because back then obviously we were a bi-weekly podcast, but we pretty much literally reported on this every podcast for like a solid month, 2 months, maybe even 3. It was just there was
So,
something
yeah,
else going on.
It's done now, right?
It
And
is-
Apple took
it is-
took the cake.
It is completely done. The legal battle is over, and the judge has found Apple to be the winner. The suit began in 2020. That was when it was. So it has been 2 years, 3 years.
Wow.
Wow, holy shit!
Almost going on. Wow. Jeez.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's happened?
So the suit began back in 2020 after Epic updated Fortnite on iOS with a payment workaround, which is shady as fuck if you ask me.
Yeah, they're working around the cut from Apple that Apple gets
Yep.
from their purchases on
So
their store.
Apple's usual cut is 30%, and in response, Apple promptly banned them from the app, essentially making it so that
Yep.
if you had the game on your Apple platform, you could still play it, but there was no way that you were downloading it again after.
Or updating it.
Or
Or
updating it,
buying
exactly.
Stuff off the market, I believe.
If you guys remember, they came out with like this fucking stupid
Propaganda.
propaganda
Yeah.
advertisement that was like back in like the 70s. There was this propaganda advertisement for I can't remember what it was back then, but it was some kind of a big company as well. I think it was Apple.
Cigarette.
I think it was
Oh, no.
Apple. I think it was Apple against
it Apple?
Microsoft. if I remember correctly. Maybe not. I don't remember, but they came out with this shady ass propaganda that basically they started the hashtag Free Fortnite, trying to get people to join up, and apparently that didn't work. So the latest ruling comes from the U.S.'s Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, and it has affirmed the 2021's decision by a lower court that mostly rejected Epic's claims. The panel of 3 judges acknowledged that the lively and important debate about the role played in our economy and democracy by online transaction platforms with market powers, but noted its role was not to attempt to resolve the debate, but apply existing precedents to the fact. I think they previously ruled that the iOS couldn't stop consumers from getting cheaper prices. Yeah, they ruled
Yeah.
that they couldn't stop Apple couldn't stop people from getting cheaper prices, but they rejected the fact that Epic
Um,
claimed that it constituted a monopoly. So
not to forget to mention as well. You remember the in-person court case of this and the shit show that was?
I remember vaguely. Yeah.
But I can't remember quite what, but it was like the people they had, come up on like the stand or whatever were just weirdos, man. I think one of them was even like, was he dressed as a banana or something? Like as like
I-
one of the
I
Fortnite
wouldn't-
skins.
I wouldn't
Why
doubt
didn't
it,
I know
man.
about this?
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm gonna be able to find it, but if I do, keep talking.
I
I'll try to find
wouldn't doubt it. So the previous ruling concluded that Apple's iOS policies stopped consumers from getting cheaper prices, but rejected Epic's claims that it constituted a monopoly and violated federal antitrust laws. But apparently, the appeals court came back and said that the lower court had erred in its definition of appropriate antitrust marketing, and Apple's argument that it needs to actively police the applications running on its phone was justified. So, Apple
I
wins.
mean, it only makes fucking sense, man. You're the one providing the platform. Every platform like provider
Well,
takes a cut, and
and
for
we.
us-
Sorry, go ahead.
no, it's. I don't know. I don't like Apple.
Yeah.
I don't. I think
No,
Apple.
one. I don't like Apple. I
as
don't like
Epic.
Epic. I really don't like Epic, obviously. But I don't like
But
Apple. I'm not a
you're-
fan. I think that they're both monopolies in my own opinion. And personally, I think that Tim Sweeney and Epic have played this game for years, ever since they came
Yeah.
out with their
And they're
their launcher.
delusional if they think that
Extremely
they can
delusional.
circumvent a platform like a distributor, like one of the biggest distributors of your product.
Yeah, I don't know. It's been a long time in coming. Let's just put it that way. Like I've been keeping some like a close eye, not a close eye on it, but like a side eye on it, just to make sure that like just check back on and on.
Make
the
sure
occasion.
Epic wasn't kind of
Make sure
gaining an
Epic
edge.
wasn't gaining an edge. Make sure that making sure that Epic was getting spanked. You know how it goes. I hate fucking Tim Sweeney. Dude's a fucking pompous prick. 100%. That's just my opinion. Obviously, my opinion does not reflect all of the opinions of this this podcast. So Tim Sweeney, don't sue us or anything like that.
Or a bunch of shills. It's okay.
I can't find anything, unfortunately, but
Yeah.
it was over like a Zoom call or something, and
I
think they
I
brought
wouldn't
on,
doubt
like,
it, dude.
some
I really wouldn't doubt it. It's
weird people on there.
it sounds like something that Epic would do, honestly.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So yeah.
I don't know, man. So that's, good on Apple. I think that's rightfully so. They deserved that win. I think that what Epic did was shady as fuck, and they deserve everything that they got. So, in my opinion, at least. I don't know about you guys.
Fair enough. No,
So.
I'm all about it. I'm all about
Holy
it. Like
shit.
I said, they were asinine to think that they could get around their distributing platform. Like
We got 6 minutes left, guys. Let's go. So quick
Alright.
rapid fire. I am very rusty when it comes to actually doing the hosting. I apologize if it's been a little bit run on today, but I hope you guys have enjoyed the
I thought you've
podcast.
done great, man. Don't sell
Thank you.
yourself
I
short.
appreciate you guys.
I agree.
If you guys have any questions, make sure to put them in the chats, and we'll get to them whenever we end the podcast here, probably about the next 10-15 minutes or so. I think we still got a little bit to talk about, but yeah, Unity
Yeah.
has slashed over 600 jobs. That's a huge layoff. I don't know if you guys have been keeping track of this.
That is-
They laid off a decent amount back, I think, in November of last year. At the end of last year, they let off a decent amount. and they just got rid of another 8% of their employee rosters. So big big downgrades. They have been downgrading. They've been in the process of shrinking for the past year or two, essentially, is what their chief executive, John, and I'm going to murder this name, Riccitiello?
That
Riz-
sounds sounds right.
Rigatiello? I maybe
Convincing to
Yeah.
me.
I'm sorry if that was wrong. He said that it was clear that Unity had too many layers of the management and the layoffs, all about setting Unity. They're basically about setting Unity up for a higher growth rate, and they're downgrading again. Like I said, 8% of employee rosters. Their global offices they dropped from 58 to 30 globally. So
Wow.
that's a pretty
That's
hefty. That's
huge.
huge,
Yeah.
man. Yeah, that's big.
So
That's
what's
almost half.
what is prompting this shrinkage?
I think they're just trying to. It's so we've talked about this in recently, right? Where it's like shit when the pandemic started, right? There was a huge
Right.
fucking boost of hires because
Yeah.
people were hiring
Remote
for
hires.
remote work. They were trying to make sure that they had enough people to basically be able to handle the influx of business they were about to have. Obviously, Unity is one of the most popular game development other than Epic and or what's the one from Epic again? It's Unreal Engine, right? Yeah, Unreal
Unreal.
Engine.
Yeah.
Other than Unreal Engine, Unity is one of the biggest game development and really just I think that they do
Wonder-
pretty much everything. They do like artistic stuff as well. So that's a huge one, man. I see that Sinan, but I can't pull it up. But when you guys pull that up,
It's. I got it pulled up. I don't know what it is in regard to.
I don't know what it is in regard
It-
to either. So yeah, basically what I'm understanding, it's in conjunction to that. So they hired a lot of people for the pandemic, the rush that they had for the pandemic, and now they're just trying to downsize. They're trying-
It's a lot of job offerings from Unity. I don't know what Sin's trying to say here.
Oh, okay.
Well, it
That's
seems like they're shrinking down and then reallocating for because I'm
Could
seeing a lot of engineering positions,
Yeah.
a
That's very interesting.
bunch of engineering
a
positions
lot
and marketing
of
positions.
out of country stuff.
that's very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
I
know.
wonder. Do
I
you
don't know
think
what to say
Unity's
to that.
shaping
That
up for
one
an acquisition? Do
well,
you think
one
somebody would acquire Unity?
one thing that I have to say about that is that like especially in the US, and I don't know if
A
this is
ton of engineers.
I don't know if
Holy.
this is the same in like other countries like the UK or anything like that, but like I'm pretty sure that in the US, if you fire somebody and then rehire pretty much immediately for that same position without giving the previous employee the chance to basically continue doing their job, you can get in a lot of trouble. So that's
I am
crazy.
seeing that not many of these are remote work. There's like one remote work and
Like
everything else. I think they're wanting to fill
on
more
site?
like on-site local offices. Yeah.
I'd be very interested to see what positions I were actually in this layoff.
That being said, there's only like maybe
'Cause
70 positions in this
because granted, yeah, there's
marker.
there's a lot of engineer jobs and everything like that, and from what I'm seeing, it's like engineer jobs, uh, senior financial analysts, media managers, a lot of engineer jobs. Holy shit, yeah.
A ton of engineer jobs and
Specialist,
on-site engineers at
lead
that.
customer experience specialist. So what I'm going to put out there is I'm curious if a lot of these jobs, a lot of these layoffs were in like customer service, um, community management, community, everything like that. Because you'll see that with a lot of like that big layoff that happened from Blizzard back about I think it was in the middle of last year, if I remember
Yeah.
correctly. A lot of that a lot of that layoff was like community managers and shit like that, right?
Mhm.
Not necessarily engineers. There was a couple of engineer layoffs, but a lot of it was like face, face employees that are like the face of the company or like testing, game testing, everything like that. So
Yeah.
No,
I'm
but
curious if a lot of that was that.
It's definitely interesting though.
what I was asking is, do you guys think that Unity is shaping up for some sort of acquisition with all of this? Like
I don't think so.
we're seeing another like devalue to like be acquired or something. because
Unity
I don't
would
think
be a
so.
weird one for somebody to pick up.
I
Yeah.
think so, but think about it like, what if like Steam were to pick them up?
I don't think Steam has any interest in.
Maybe. I know they
Bro,
got
Steam can
Valve.
hardly fucking develop their games right now, man. What are you talking about? They took what? They took what, like 7 years to get fucking Counter-Strike Global Offensive 2 out, and it's barely a fucking mesh update.
I don't know. I'm just curious. I just it's interesting to see. But I mean, it mostly it seems like it is like we said in regards just to the spike in COVID. But still, I don't know.
Yeah, it'd be
I
interesting.
wouldn't understand. Yeah, it'd be
I
interesting,
don't
really.
personally see it. I can't personally see it. This screams to me again like a downsize more towards they overstaffed when COVID started, and now they're
Yeah.
just getting rid of
Which-
bloat, essentially.
Yeah, which is the reasonable like excuse, because that's what a lot of
Granted,
companies did.
having those openings for engineers and stuff, again, I would be really interested to see what exactly these positions are. If it's a lot of engineer jobs, that's fucked up. If
Oh,
if it's not engineer jobs and it's like face jobs like game testers, community managers, stuff like that, then obviously, yeah, I understand it 100%. So, yeah. So community or Unity slashing on a bunch of jobs. Good times. Good times.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fresh gameplay from an MMORPG, Chrono Odyssey. This was you, Bill. You brought this up. Do you want me to bring up the video?
This one just if you can, it's not that big of a deal. This is just
I
a
got
quick
you,
hit.
I got you, I
I'm
got you.
very interested in this one, and I'm not really an MMO kind of guy. Hold on one second.
It's an interesting
um,
look, man. It really is. We were talking about it a little bit before the podcast started. It reminds me extremely heavily of like Black Desert, for sure.
Yeah. I can understand where you were saying it has that very Eastern MMO feel to it, but there's something about the intimacy, like how close that camera is, that
Mhm.
you really don't see with a lot of MMOs. A lot of MMOs are very drawn back camera angles, a lot of more global view instead
Yeah.
of character view. This one really seems to be leaning more
Well,
into that
and
character-based view
one
and
thing that
enemy-based view.
one thing that I will state with that though is like we've not
Yeah.
seen any gameplay in this entire video. Like this is all cinematic. I guarantee.
What do you mean? He's walking right there and riding a horse
That
right there.
might be
That's
might be
gameplay.
him moving around, but it is not
Mhm.
gameplay, sir. That is cinematic.
This is cinematic.
Nah,
Since says there is
I
gameplay.
And this stuff right here, like, yeah, you could argue, yeah, this is gameplay, but it's not. Like,
Okay.
this is cinematic.
You don't
still.
think this is actual gameplay?
I mean, I'm not saying that it's not like gameplay, but I think that this is very doctored gameplay.
You mean scripted?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, not scripted, but this is doctored gameplay. Like, I'm sure that was gameplay, but it was extremely heavily. Yeah, it's scripted, I guess. Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
Regardless, this is hitting kind of like some
It
bells
looks
in my
good.
head.
Like, don't get me wrong.
where
Like me saying that is not me being like this game's trash. This
look
game
at that
looks good.
Archer
Yeah,
set.
this game looks good. I'm kind of excited for it. It does remind me very heavily of Black Desert. I will say
Bro,
that
I'm
100%.
getting that Archer was giving me like Neverwinter vibes for some reason.
Yeah, and this
I
is
don't know.
all like so.
Weird-
This game
weird.
was originally announced back in 2020. It was originally going to be developed on Unreal Engine 4, and then
I
they
like-
have swiftly
I-
switched it back to.
I like this
switched it up
part.
to-
I like this part right here. This gun.
Repeater.
The
Yeah.
repeater,
Mhm.
the whatever
was
that
cool.
is, the fucking way she reloaded that's dope, dude. I love
Yeah,
that.
That was
the,
dope.
the,
That looks
the
dope.
flip handle reload.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
dope.
man.
But
Have they said that
It's-
this is in fact an MMO? I
it
think
is
so.
in fact an MMO.
I'm pretty sure.
yes.
Yeah.
100% it is an MMO. They're
An
going to
M&M.
have raids.
It's an M&M.
They're going to have your raids.
does
They're
it
gonna
have
your
dungeons?
Does
Does
there's
it
a
have
dungeon right here.
dungeons?
We're looking at a dungeon
This
right
is, you sure
here.
this is dungeon. I don't know. I don't know yet.
Because if it don't have
But,
dungeons, it ain't an MMO according to Sinan.
Wait.
but-
Is this Wild Hearts? Is that the thing from Wild Hearts?
It looks yeah. It's interesting, man.
It does look
And
good.
It's
I
a Monster
read
Hunter.
in an interview that this dragon that we're watching right here, this is one of its like massive, like
bosses?
it's a world boss where like
Yeah.
community gathers, the boss
makes sense.
spawns, and then the
I can
entire
see right
server
here. This
fights
scene.
it.
This scene is given MMO. Like, yeah.
But I don't know. It's
Okay.
very interesting, and it's also going to be available on PC and all
I
next
was
generation,
gonna ask
current
that
generation
because
consoles.
is it all consoles? Because it's a PlayStation game. Like right at the start, it had the PlayStation logo.
PlayStation's advertising it, but it is, at least from what I've seen, confirmed for Xbox as well and PC.
Gotcha. That's cool. That's good. I mean, I'm all for more MMOs because like the MMO scene is very lackluster right now. Like
It's also,
we're kind of getting
Yeah.
getting so
shafted.
many different vibes from
So-
this, man.
And I
So weird.
really hope that Sony doesn't fucking cock block its player base and not let it play with the other player base. They've been really good about it recently, but I'm hoping the Bad Blood doesn't.
The only problem that I can see for that is if it has PvP. I don't know how they would handle that with like PC.
Cross platform,
I don't think mouse and
cross-platform with
keyboard
PC.
is that big of a
like a
benefit
advantage.
to
Yeah.
this style of a game. For FPSs, yeah, I can understand, but I don't see it being that big of a benefit in
Yeah,
this.
it depends on how heavy.
Because who
of
really plays
the-
this style of an action RPG with a mouse and keyboard? Am I right, guys? Am I right, guys? He ain't here to defend himself right now. He's just words on a screen.
It depends on how heavy they take it of the MMO aspect of if it's one of those MMO or like those MMOs that have like a whole list of hotbars of
Oh
fuck
god.
yourself.
Oh
Go
god.
fuck yourself.
Get out of here, bro.
so loud. You peaked the podcast.
They probably just peaked the podcast, you piece of shit. Anyways, so that's a fresh game, or that's a fresh MMO coming on. Chrono Odyssey, showing the power of Unreal Engine 5. Obviously, we're looking at some good graphics. So, moving on, we gotta move through this, guys. Yeah. No Hogwarts Legacy DLC is coming this week via Twitch drops. Kind of an interesting way of dropping things. I
For the
don't
5
know.
people that have finished the game.
I don't what what do they mean by expansion? Is like DLC is what my question is, because like
It's a
I wonder-
cosmetic
I was
DLC.
gonna
It's
say-
exclusively cosmetics.
so
It's not really a DLC.
It says right
it's
there, it's
literally
cosmetic, yeah.
it's literally just a one thing and they
It's
call it a DLC.
I mean, yeah, they should not be calling that a DLC. They
It's
should just be
skins.
calling
Yeah.
that a cosmetic
Merlin's-
drop.
Merlin's Cloak. So if you're playing
For a
Hogwarts
moment.
Legacy, or if you want to play Hogwarts Legacy, and you're not phased by the wizard game is bad, go and grab that whatever this is, Merlin's Cloak, I guess, this week.
Go and
on
grab that
Switch.
DLC. The DLC. It's
Uh,
full
Zelda.
story DLC.
Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. This was a big one this week. It got
Yeah.
leaked, right? It got pirated.
Yeah, the game got leaked 2 weeks before its launch. It is available in spicy places online.
Spicy.
You can play it. You can play it through Nintendo Switch emulation.
Wow.
There's even some storefronts that have actually sold it early, which I'm sure Nintendo has
That's
already
crazy, dude.
sued the hell out of them.
That is wild, man.
That's a
But
terrible
reason
fucking
I
thing.
brought-
Nintendo does not.
No,
take
they don't
kindly
fuck
to
around,
that.
dude. They don't fuck
Nah.
around.
No.
Nah, but the reason I brought it up was, for one, it's wild that it leaked 2 weeks ahead of time.
Yeah.
And two, Reggie is still one of my favorite CEOs that has ever come out
How
of gaming, just because. So this whole post came up from somebody tweeting that they were playing Tears of the Kingdom on their Switch. I'm assuming that they got it from a store that was selling it early, and he just quotes that Liam Neeson
Taken.
movie.
Yeah.
Taken.
He
Yeah.
goes, I
Yeah.
don't know what you want. What I do have is a very particular set of skills. Skills I have acquired over a long career. Skills that make me a nightmare for people like you. I imagine Reggie said that as he was typing that in that voice.
Oh yeah,
totally.
100%. But
But this is honestly
the funniest thing
really-
about it is Nintendo is actually gonna go the Hit Squad route with it, man. They do not
Unfortunately,
mess
they don't fuck
around.
around, man. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean that's to be fair. I mean they don't fuck around with that, and we know that now. So essentially, are they going to be banning Nintendo users who are playing this game?
Bans and lawsuits, man. If
Lawsuits,
they
yeah.
can detect it, I would
Yeah,
not doubt
lawsuits
that
to
if
the
they can
ones that are
detect
selling it,
your
I'm sure.
system is playing this game, they will outright. Well, I don't know if they have the tech because they're still way behind on their online services, but definitely lawsuits if
Yeah,
you
but-
are showing gameplay of this in any capacity, whether it be screenshots or whether it be video or anything like
Yeah.
that.
To go back though, like this is such a crazy leak. Do you like? I've got a. just assume like there might be some sort of like inside shit going on.
Has to
Like
be.
how
I don't.
It's
I
the
don't
only
think
thing I
how-
can think of.
the only
How
thing
could
the
this
only
happen?
thing well the only thing I can say is that like
or
because
a
it's
seller.
yeah, that's what I was about to say. Because
Yeah,
it's
like
2
a
weeks
seller,
out,
like
because it's 2 weeks out, like game company, like people or places like GameStop and everything like that, like they get
like
their
Target,
shipments.
Yeah,
They get their shipments early, and honestly, when it comes to like leaks, a lot of the times it is from like people like or
Somebody
places
ripped
like
the ROM.
GameSpots
True,
or
and
something like that.
what is it? Usually like Nintendo games also can't they come on digital cards, right? You can buy codes on cards or whatever.
You can.
Sure.
Yeah.
So like Best Buy or say like could have got their hands on
But
those and
even,
somebody
but
could have
even
nabbed
then,
them.
those codes wouldn't be active until I would almost
True, maybe.
guarantee
It's-
that this all came from somebody getting
Somebody getting a physical
hard copy of it
yeah,
and ripped the ROM.
100%.
That's pretty wild.
So yeah,
But
so
Reggie's funny. I miss him.
if you have it and you're playing it, don't be surprised if Reggie shows up at your door and murders you.
True.
Mamma mia, that's a spicy meatball, right? I don't know why I said that. That was weird.
Clip it.
So the last and final thing that we're going to be talking about tonight, and Sin, you're probably going to want to chime in on this next week. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago. AV1 encoding, AV1 streaming on OBS. OBS Studio 29.1 just launched, and they now have support for it for RTX cards. He's been
waiting
for this.
really excited for this. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that we will hear an earful about it next week. So if you guys are interested in that kind of stuff and you want to hear more about it, tune in next week.
And YouTube
Fingers
support.
crossed that it's actually a noticeable boost and it doesn't come out in like a
The-
awkward state.
The only issue that I have with it is that it is locked to only RTX 40 series cards, which
Yeah.
seems
Right.
really weird to me. But then again,
I'm curious
it's the
if there's any
chipsets.
chance
So
of backporting it.
I don't think
because of
so.
The hardware, I don't think they can.
I don't think so. I think if I remember correctly, Sinan talked about it last week. It's because of the chipsets. I could be wrong.
Oh, he said no, it isn't.
Okay.
Intel ARC cards as well.
Cards.
Intel ARC cards. Okay. Well,
Forgot about those.
for the 3 people that know what the fucking Intel ARC card is on this
Yeah.
podcast, there you go. So that's the podcast, everybody. I don't think we had any questions in the chat, right? Nope.
No, we
Don't look like it.
when's Sinan coming back? And the answer is once the
Whenever
GoFundMe
the
for new lungs
fuck he wants
gets
to.
paid off.
Yeah. He's still
Nah.
working on him.
We're
Yeah,
hoping to have him
so-
back next week. If it doesn't work out though,
No pressure though.
Yep, we'll be right here. 3 of us again. Sinan will be over in the corner with his ice pack and his thermometer. What's his temperature at right now? Looks
like it's
Let's see, like-
141.6.
oh boy.
That seems
He
inaccurate, but it
is-
might just be the character.
Well, we might have to slip
I don't
that
know.
thermometer someplace else and get a more accurate
Sin gets
reading.
pretty heated sometimes. He sounded pretty heated when he came in here earlier too.
All right,
Heated
guys.
motherfucker.
Well, that was episode 82 of the Pre-Patch Podcast. We thank you guys for joining us every week here on Twitch and YouTube, everything like that. Remember, guys, if you want to check us out and you want to check out our huge backlog of content, we do have 81 more episodes that you can listen to. It's a ton of content. Holy fuck. That's a lot of podcast. You can find all of our stuff over at anchor.fm/prepatch podcast or Linktree. We have a Linktree up. It's linktree or linkter.e/prepatch podcast.
Did you just
I just had a bit of a yeah. So go if you know how to get to Linktree, it's linktree.com/prepatch podcast. That's
I got it.
has all
It's
of our
here.
all of our links, everything you could ever want. Go straight to our podcast on Spotify, go straight to our podcast on Anchor. And it has all of our other stuff like our TikTok, which we barely upload to.
Yeah, just wait till we get our TikTok
There you
hype
go.
house,
There
stream
you
house.
go. So
Yeah.
that has been it, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the podcast. Again, sorry it's been kind of all over the place. This is my first time back to hosting in quite a while, and
It's his first
It
time.
was a-
be
I
gentle.
think
it was a
did
big
great,
it was a
yeah.
big podcast. Like surprisingly, we had a lot to talk about, even though we only talked about like literally one topic.
Xbox.
So
Yeah.
thank you guys again, and we will see you next week. Let me get to the fucking thing. Right there.
This
There
is
we go.
everybody.
Bye.
See you guys later.
Installation.